onto that rift we go. Let's hear the gyros. The frickin' Santa Brawl with the bells already. Wrong time of year, mate. It's summer, but, you know. See if the snow lasts. Wow, those gyros were almost non-existent. So hang on, that's really, really loud. I gotta go change the volume on that one, because that's gone way too far above that. The volume's been all over the place. The Brawl level 1, very powerful. But not able to stop them blowing the summoners themselves. The Brawl losing the level 1, very interestingly. Okay, so folks, just to give you a heads up of what happened in the background there. Because the pick and ban music and everything was so quiet, I turned it up because I thought, well, the clean feed is quiet today. Then I heard no gyos, or like very quietly in the background, and I thought, okay, I'll turn that up again. And then, yeah, after that, we get into the game and it blows my ears out. So hopefully the volume's now okay. Turns out we got to fix the stuff on the fly. Shrimpcake saying in chat right now, read a bit into some comments on Bilibili yesterday, where common response to why Beige1 was swapped out is that BLG has always wanted to Shadow from the start, but FPX wouldn't let him go because his contract was to finish the split. Well, I think unless people actually have inside information on that, I don't think you can really say that so easily. Easily getting some push in. Often what happens with the Talia into the Orianna is the Orianna wins the HP trades, but the Talia gets the push. We've got a bit of an audio desync. I'm going to have to quickly go sort that out as well. Don't you worry. I of course pay attention to this stuff. Unlike some other people here on this channel. I say that because Sam's not in right now. He's getting coffee, which I can't really blame him for. There might be a hard trade. We're going to have to just quickly restart the stream. That was a bad time to do it. I apologize, but it's fine. The barrier was used by Jachi to use to shrug off some damage, but the audio should now be in sync. There we go. Cool. I know everyone's panicking. I know. Stop panicking. I've got a planikin. Scout 900 games within the LPL. You know, I think it's 9 out of the top 10 players. Most tenured players of all time in the LPL are still playing. Yeah, that's true. Look at this. All of these players are still playing except Yagao, who is in number 10. And I miss Yagao. I miss him a lot. He's a player which did a bunch for JDG. Honestly, they could use someone like him right now, weirdly. Scout's been struggling, and it feels like they just need that. They need that smoking a Red Bull. That's what they need, JDG. Come forwards, blocked by the shield. See what Pays is trying to do there. Jump forwards, walk to the side to block the Braum, to dodge the Braum Q. If you get hit by the Braum Q, you can actually get even traded on. But if you dodge the Braum Q, you are more than certainly winning that trade. Getting great push in, 10 CS lead. And poor Jachi, he's a great Ezreal player, but this was the problem of locking someone like that Braum. Now, the payoff will come later when JDG have to play the Lucian Nami without a great source of engage elsewhere. Normally, in the past, you play Lucian Nami with something like a Maokai or something like that to get much more guaranteed lockdown. You just can't really guarantee that hit. Great flip back there from Care. Care had some good games recently, by the way. Of course, FPX ended up 2-0ing IG. That was with IE. We haven't really got to talk about Milky Way much yet either, because Milky Way's well, he's not really been doing much, has he? Because he's been farming. Not really been looking into the lanes. Keeping up in terms of farm with Shun. Wasn't Xiaoshu Milky Way's top laner in FPX? That was Xiao Laohu. Xiao Laohu was the top laner. And yes, Xiao Laohu was on stream for FPX last time that Milky Way was playing with them. And Xiao Laohu was on stream with Hacker, basically saying that the reason that team worked is because Dokdam and Life were setting up so well so jungle could play without burden. Now that'll be really interesting context because, look, I think a lot of people will agree that Milky Way's debut was one of the best we've ever seen. It was fantastic. His split just after that, he started to struggle a lot more when carries actually became meta, and people stopped playing the AD skirmishes, weirdly. I miss seeing stuff like his Lee Sin, but you got, looking back on VOD review, and even at the time, stuff like the Ashe Rumble from Dokdam and Life was so damn good. So damn good. And it did allow Milky Way to do a lot more in the situations than potentially he was meant to be given. Jachinjue getting a wave freely on the top side as the lane swaps come through. You're more adjacent than here? Well, thank you for being adjacently here, Mecha. Always appreciate having you around. Share. Taking a bit of a bad trade versus the Rumble there. As Rumble's hit level 6. Hasn't quite got himself the lane leads that we sometimes see. Jumping forwards. A little bit late on the buff there from... Oh no, that's not true. 2 of the orbs did go through, so that's fair. Remember that, what was I gonna call it? The thing. No electrocute on Nami nowadays, like the good old days. Ward's put down, and it did split out the Shinzai. I'll spot him, in fact, again. He's not going to jump forwards here. They might try and play some Oscar Knights. Yeah, like right here, Pace doesn't want to give up the fact that he does know. But now they know that they know. And their mates look foolish. They look foolish. So foolish. He's made of so much skin. Want to wear his face. Go watch Jedi Party Star Wars parody if you haven't. It would make that last comment hilarious to you instead of mildly concerning. Instead, no, moderately concerning, perhaps. I fear Scout and Xiaohu have not been good for some years. Ooh, Brawn passive almost procced, and indeed is. Bubble gets a trade back. Managed to get something back there. I'm actually going to disagree on both Scout and Xiaohu in terms of consistent form, because they both had fantastic moments. I mean, Scout qualified LNG through to Worlds. Jumping forwards, but jumping into Jue's Brawn. Heal popped on the other side. Trade back. Damage onto the Ezreal. Focus more than damage onto the Brawn, which makes sense. Damage onto the AD carry always makes sense. But yeah, if you think about Scout, you know, his Yone carried them through to World's quarterfinals, and then obviously the massive break they had between World Swiss stage and quarterfinals left them without good scrim partners, which was apparently a huge issue, and they got decked. Was it 3-0 by Weibo in the quarterfinals? That was... Yeah, so I'm not going to say that Scout has consistently been bad, blah, blah, blah. He's definitely had off moments, for sure, and I think that in this split, he's not been fantastic. 2023, he was Mr. MVP. He had record-breaking MVPs in spring and summer, and carried you know, LNG through to a 5-game finals versus JDG in summer, which is my first LPL finals I ever cast. Then Xiaohu, you know, he made a World Finals in 2023. Yeah, drop was awful for first parts of 2024, but the back end of it was good. Made it to another World Semi-Finals and an LPL Finals as well. Fight over the Grubs now, as Milky Way's taken the first one already. I don't think they're going to stick around for anything more. They don't really want to take that fight against the Lucian Nami through the choke points against that Nami ultimate. Okay, clarifying just this here. Oh, yeah, no, don't you worry, don't you worry. Scout this year is definitely not giving himself much to be proud of, and Xiaohu, well, I don't think he's hit the floor that he did, say, in early last year. He's definitely not giving himself massive stuff to be proud of either. Two of our old gods of the LPL struggling a little bit. You know what? Kair's not been too bad all the time. He's, okay, say that recently he's been up and down, but Kair's always this really funny, streaky player. Where Kair will occasionally have incredibly good games and sometimes have incredibly poor games as well. I think at his best, he actually does end up being a guy that can contest with the very best mid laners in the LPL. Now, stuff like his Ari and what have you can be very, very potent. We are going to be joined now by one Samuel Initialise JDG. He's going to roll his way in with the chat. We do have a scuffle over the scuttle. Milky Way jumping forward. Shun popping the Cyclone in defense. Is there a flick bank? No. It's ultimate for free. It's not actually a small victory for FPX there. Getting rid of that first Cyclone of the game defensively. But Sam's got to move his chair around so it's not butting into the mic like that. Turns out playing origami with chairs is quite hard, actually, trying to get him into position. Sam, welcome in.
Glad to be here. How's the coffee?
We have the re-debut of Milky Way today,
Oh,
Sam.
yes, indeed. I'm very excited.
Yeah.
Have we had the Milky Way spiel?
Yes, we have. You know, fantastic debut. However, someone that struggled a little bit later on has now come back into FPX, ult towards topside from Care.
Trying to get some value, and JDG going to have their top laner flash away. Does survive that. Nimbus Cloak giving you that extra bit of speed up. Often does go well on the likes of a Rumble. And gets out alive. See how it all goes from there. Indeed, I am very excited to see Milky Way back. Of course, was on loan to FPX last year from RNG, and then was basically called back up to RNG this year. It just didn't go as well for a variety of reasons. RNG in general really struggling, so I think in some ways we view the downturn there with a pinch of salt, just aware that things are a little bit, to say the least, temperamental in that area. Colin comes on down from Pays. Wink does empower that with the Nami. Of course, we have seen a lot more Lucian these days with the likes of a Braum, with the likes of a Leona. Nami, of course, once upon a time, the Premier. Felt like the only pairing with the Lucian for a while. Of course, Milio was around about too, but, you know, everyone was thinking Lucian Nami as the duo. But it's back in here today. Can be very impressive, lots of poke. Between the likes of this Wukong and Rumble, lots of people who enjoy the speed-ups Nami can provide and try and poke people out. But again, you've got to get through the Braum, the Ezreal, Jackie and Jway having a bit of a revelatory split, to be all said and done. They were pretty good last split, but this time around, already had some very good performances from both of them.
Worth noting that Jackie was on RNG.
Yeah, he was.
So it's his new team for him, too. Milky Way going forwards! 5 man.
Nice! What an insec off that one. Now potentially in danger, though, as it's all gone a bit wrong. Trying to find the call the Forge got back. It looked phenomenal, but where was the follow-up?
Neither team really has fantastic engage unless the Ornn starts pulling that ultimate in the right spots, and it doesn't get enough there. So while it was the 4-man Crescent Guard and then onto a clone as well, yeah, it's all flash, no substance. JDG will take the kill, take the dragon.
I want to see the replay on that because Sheer pulled the ult 3-4 seconds after the play. Jackie and Care hit nothing and retreated. That's rough. That's rough. We'll at least get a shove here onto Xiaoshu, whose Warford's already burned the flash from the earlier play topside. Is burning out Jway pretty low. Exhaust just timed up. Can let an Electro Harpoon here. Might be able to return the favor, but no, just not enough in the tank. And Care at least picks up a return kill.
It's important, as Talia getting some access to the map and getting some value from the ultimate. Always one of the standards we judge a Talia player by, and Care is a streaky player, as I was just mentioning before he came in as well. Someone that occasionally has fantastic moments and occasionally doesn't.
Yes, let's have a look at this again, because this looked so cool!
So yeah, the Wimbledon's Lightning Mark applies into Shun, goes in and gets a huge knockback, but it scatters the team very well, but the clone comes through in time. The clone comes through, the Crescent Guard ends up wearing off because the duration of that's been nerfed over time, and the ult, because the Crescent Guard scattered the enemy team, didn't really give a great ult angle towards the on. What realistically should have happened is, as Milky Way went in, you go for that. You go for that. Instead, chose not to, and left Milky Way a little bit out to dry there as he saw the clumped up units, but couldn't really capitalize.
Yeah, it was almost great, but a coordination issue, I think, is the way we'll put that. I think Jackie and Care was kind of caught over the back of the wall, didn't have, or didn't really want to flash over, didn't really have a Weaver's Wall to work with, so wasn't really in position to damage. Jackie over the other side as well. So you had your two ranged dealers, also not really in position either, so a bit awkward there from FPX as a squad, despite some individual moments where we went, okay, I can see what the thought is there at the very least. Of course, the gold lead, about 1,000 or so towards JDG, who have picked up the early objectives. They got the Grubs, they got the 2 dragons. A pretty solid spot right now. JDG in general been struggling this split, I think it is fair to say. Scout has looked poor. There's much way to put around it. We've also had some issues with Shun and Xiaoshu being up and down. I feel like Pays has been left to the wolves a bit while Wink's still finding his feet. It's just not been very fun to watch as JDG's top side has all been all over the place.
No, and I was speaking to some of the JDG fans on Twitter, and was asking them, well, you know, what does the JDG fan community think about it? And one of the things which I highlighted was that there have been 6 different head coaches for JDG.
Oh my days!
In 2 years. Has his ult, might look to bring that across mid lane. Pays jumped onto.
Weaver's Wall comes on down, flash for the Graceful Fisher, forced the flash out of Pays as well. Now Shun's in danger, that's 3 flashes for a few ults. Care will have to flash back out afterwards, but I think for FPX, getting a few of those summoners there feels alright.
This is what gameplay looks like when you don't have a Leona, Nautilus, Alistair, Rel, those kind of hard engaged CCs, or just someone to lock someone down. You need the Ornult to have engage. It's very hard to actually lock down people with this combination. Herald's now started, and FPX trying to hold choke points. I don't know whether they'll be really able to stop JDG getting in, though.
Interesting to track. Of course, you've still got a Braum, you've still got an Orn. Looks turns around a lot of those flashes now down. Chunk to Milky Way. A scout came over the back of the pit. The shockwave comes on down, but Milky Way happy to tank it up in option to pick up that Herald, and does so. Gonna get over the equalizer, blocks most with the crescent guard. Sheer now in danger as Dway has to use his stand behind to get out to safety. The slow comes on down, and Shun will fall there. Sorry. Dway will fall to Shun. That's the way we phrase that in League of Legends. Now looking potentially for some more care. Looking to body block as Milky Way going to get the empowered recall off.
A ton of summoners used, but really not that many kills. Just the one overall. The way that goes down. Now, will that open up a full mid lane turret take? Two Grubs onto it. Jacchi has flash, has ult in a few seconds. Shun can give him a good bonk hit.
Flash out. Shun going to have to clone back towards safety. Does so, but that turret in mid lane will now fall.
And it will. Shun able to force Jacchi off of wave clear duty, and FPX not really firing on all cylinders. Able to force a ton of flashes from JDG. Again, not actually able to lock that many people down, though.
Some value in here. Minute until that Dragon be soul point for JDG. Soul sometimes a bit maligned as terms of its value, but I think when you are potentially playing around a lot of low health bars, when there isn't all that much hard CC, the extra bits of tenacity can sometimes be quite valuable. I mean, even the CC it does land becomes surprisingly ineffective.
When you have the Orianna and the Nami on your team, getting 6% heal and shield power per Chemtech Dragon isn't bad, you know, especially when you're playing around not about hard CC, but about just raw damage on people that are kind of skirting around fights. Having the extra, you know, potentially 50, I guess it would be 500 shield. But no, eventually it does get to the point. Late game, you know, I reckon you'll probably get an extra 100 or 200 heals out of multiple cooldowns from JDG if you do get 1 or 2 Chemtech Dragons. And that's kind of important, you know. And yes, the tenacity can sometimes come in very clutch.
Very much so. See how it all plays out from here, of course. FPX going to try and get control over this mid lane wave. Remember, there's a lot of those summoners down, but again, they just don't really get very much from that Weaver's Wall.
I think that Dwayne needed to hop to a minion and then get the ult on target. I think that a Glacial Fissure, while the wall is coming in, is about as good as it gets outside of the actual Ornult itself. Now, when you have low CC, it becomes even more important to get to objective first, because it means that your lack of engage becomes less of an issue.
And then you're also trying to engage through a Braum and an Ornn, which can be kind of annoying in its own right. WBG not going to have as much going forwards as they are retreating here, I think. Pei's taken a couple nasty shots from Jacchi, actually. Sheer gets the knock up there. Pei's forced away.
The Dragon's taken, and that's their job there. FPX, turn up to the objective first, just like at the Herald. And while they can't find a fight, they do at least get the objective they came for.
And potentially look to drop a Herald somewhere else. Milky Way still got that in inventory. They've got a lot of turrets to pick up. FPX down a lot of this gold currently, at least in part because they haven't got any turrets as yet.
JDG, decent gold advantage from those turrets, mid lane and top lane. Also means that you get that passive camp steal ability where you can just walk into the other side of the map. Xiaoxu doesn't have flash, but the W missing makes this a bit harder.
Milky Way going to crescent guard there, shoving back. That's easily done. Milky Way will take a turret shot or two, but that little bit of heal there is more than enough. Still the Herald in inventory, so she'll be able to pick this turret up here, do FPX, and maybe drop that Herald somewhere else. Of course, JDG taking the opportunity to get a full court press on the other lanes.
Yes, they're pushing in mid and top lane. Yeah, the Herald isn't needed for this bot lane turret, but they can use that elsewhere, hold that.
Oh no!
Later day, he'll be able to get it on the next one. It's not an issue. However, you know, if Xiaoxu had pulled that ult before he died to clear out that wave, it would have really slowed down the push attempt for FPX. Sundered Sky MVP. Sundered Sky is a hell of an item. It is a hell of an item. I remember when it replaced Divine Sunderer, and we were like, well, you know, it's never going to replace it. And in fairness, it never has replaced Divine Sunderer, which was a broken piece of crap. It was, yeah, that thing broke the meta for a very long time.
I feel like Sundered Sky in general has been very good for junglers in particular. Like your Xin Zhaos and your Lee Sins and your AD skirmishes in general really love that item as a one-part spike.
Yeah, it's kind of like the replacement for something like the Gore Drinker as well.
Yeah,
it just gives you that
halfway house.
Yeah, that halfway house just saying like, get a decent bit of damage in, but mainly also gives you that little bit of extra go button, that staying power rather than to say, I'm in the fight, if I can switch targets, I can get loads of heals down and keep myself ticking a little bit longer, buy out another couple of cooldowns even if I am going to go down.
So, at this point, worth noting, a couple minutes still to that dragon. I think Milky Way is going to need to drop that Herald soon. I think it'll be timing out shortly, so I do need to see them probably try and get a wave shove through mid. Atakan's also just spawned. I'm going to look at that one where JDG at least aggroed it. Hasn't led to too much, though. The vision control in the river, very much JDG's right now.
What comes with the lane push that they have, really. Now, they haven't got that bot lane out of turret, which makes it a little hard to do things. Scout was trying to do something a little bit funky there.
Herald just dropped in Wolf Camp, by the way.
That'll go towards mid lane, though. That will still go towards mid lane. So as long as they can get... Milky Way forcing ult. That's not fantastic. Scout can pull your way back, but doesn't quite get him range there.
Comes at the cost of a culling, so it's ult for ult.
Okay, now the Herald is bad because they don't get it to charge with the mid lane turret. They'll kill this before it gets to the tower. Dropping it in Wolves was not the worst thing ever, as long as it could actually hit a tower, which it hasn't.
It very much hasn't. I think with the eye behind it as well, Page should be able to claim that one. Unfortunately,
he was actually using it to deny some minions there too.
Yeah, and there's that picture-in-picture as JDG have Page jump forwards on the vision to force Milky Way into a difficult position as he was trying to set up some control there as the Herald was going through it.
I had this conversation yesterday, Sam. Look, folks, this game is slow. We're gonna have to go off topic. What kind of book do you think a spell book would be, besides just a spell book? I was thinking it'd be a great cookbook because it allows people to cook.
Very nanny-og of you.
Spellbooks, Sam, honestly, if food is magic, then cookbooks are spellbooks to me.
Let me think then.
I'm just saying, you know, like, it allows you to do some weird stuff.
I actually think that wizards would be kinky MFs.
What?
And so actually what you're reading is like Anrai smut, like in a brown paper bag.
That raises a lot of questions about does that one support that has mantras have a something sutra? Oh, karma.
Yeah.
It all makes sense now.
Oh dear.
I'm just saying, like.
Oh dear.
I'm just saying, spellbooks are spellbooks, but what kind of genre are they? I'm just saying, there's it's a lot of questions. An alchemy book. Yeah, turning lead into gold. Suppose turning challenges into gold too sometimes.
That's very true.
Yeah.
Sure.
With this one spell book, you too can reach the gold rank in League of Legends, whether you're above or below it.
So, 2 items on the Rumble, 2 items on the Orianna and Lucian too. Those are pretty scary points. But the same can be said for FPX here at the very least. They are down 2,000 gold, but it hasn't led to an item discrepancy at this break point. So there's a world where FPX might be willing to contest this. They are behind the Dragon Pit, looking to force their way in, but they aren't going to be in the river first.
They're not going to be in the river first. They're not going to be at the objective. Well, actually, no, they might be at that point.
Wow, they managed to get there. I wonder if I thought they should be able to do that.
Back off. Scout. I mean, okay, normally I'd be like, oh, Scout, but there's no engage. Like, he's got flash. I mean, FPX don't want to be pulling another sub-tier Ornn ultimate. Sheer has not impressed me on the Ornn so far.
No.
JDG, they're the ones which need to retake the pit now. I don't think they should have allowed that to happen.
Here we go, going to try and jump onto Sheer, who uses the Bellows Breath to buy a bit of time. Looking for a bit of damage. Nice true shot, barrage. Weaver's Wall keeps 2 over the awkward spaces. Shun has already used the Warrior Trickster, so FPX just gets to stand there and make sure the Dragon doesn't go down very freely. The Equalizer's pretty okay. Maybe an Atakan play afterwards. Shun has to flash out after the tidal wave comes across. SPX low, but not down. Jachi still in the Dragon Pit, looking to find an angle to keep shooting. Pays finds the empowered double shot to chunk Jachi, who will arcane shift over the back of the wall.
And JDG just don't get to the objective first. They allow FPX in there. They don't hold the choke points, and they lose the objective. 2 Chemtech Dragons now back to FPX, and they're getting their own tenacity. I suppose the heal and shield power is less important for them. JDG, they'll go towards the Atakan as a revenge, I suppose. Teleport coming down, but FPX will be here to contest. Milky Way has flash, has smite.
Need to keep your eye on that. He's got a smite of his own. They're going to pull off that Atakan. Happy enough with the teleport pulled. FPX, are they thinking of re-aggressing with the resets coming through?
Resetting, I suppose, just trying to hold FPX accountable on the bot side of the map and stopping them from resetting cleanly, but I don't think JDG know what they want to do around objectives. I don't think they know at all. Then they're not turning up to that Dragon first. They don't have a way to engage once FPX set up on the objective. They can't get through the Ornn that quickly. And Hayes, while he's getting towards the Lord Dom's 3rd item and will be fairly happy with that, JDG are not playing what their comp needs to do. They need to be pressuring, getting to objectives, chunking someone out, and getting to the objective first. And they allowed FPX very easily against the run of play to get to the objective instead.
As you said, you're getting through Braum, through Ornn, through Crescent Guard, with the fact that Ezreal and Talia are 30 miles away throwing their skill shots out. It's not easy to close on that team at the best of times.
Lord Dom's now completed by Paze. Perhaps that'll allow them to get through the unending spare a little easier. It's not that there's tons of armor on the other side. It's kind of future-proofing the build, though. And Paze has got to do a hell of a lot of work, because this Lucian actually does have Agent Siege. Cyclone on the top side.
Care really wants that turret. It's going to flash on out, but Paze is there. Weaver's Wall not available until just now. Maybe he can look to run away, but I think unfortunately Paze is going to get in time to cull down the Talia.
Caught out on the side lane. You can't cast that Weaver's Wall while you're in combat, so he was trying to get out of combat to cast it to get out. But Paze turns up there with the 3-item spike and kills him first.
Nice work there. Gets himself his first kill of the game. Worth noting as well, actually, with that kill coming on in, the 1600 gold lead to the Lucian. Up about 40 CS as well. Similar deals in mid lane. What I will say about JDG is they have just been getting resources better, and those numbers have been steadily ticking up throughout the game.
The Ezreal struggling to get farm against the Lucian in that lane. Now, with Care dead and down for another 15 seconds, Atacon will be started. JDG at the objective first. Better than they did around that last dragon. However, there is still that Ornn ult. I guess even without the Talia, they could mount an attack, and there's a spellbook smite for Dwayne, despite him not having flash to get in range to use it.
No Cyclone, no culling, so a couple relatively big ultimates. The Tidal Wave and the Equalizer still dangerous. True Shot Barrage scouting, can't really hit that many people. Dwayne, though, ow, that one hit. Here comes that Call of the Void. Got Milky Way to the backside, forces Pace to flash. Weaver's Wall comes on down, as they can make the Atacon down about 3 HP. The Equalizer comes across multiple members. That's pretty good there from Xiaoshu. Tidal Wave keeps them all on top of it. If we turn back towards the Atacon, it is still a Shockwave onto 3. Does get the kill onto that Braum. Atacon down low. Taken now by JDG as FPX on the retreat.
And FPX can't really retake the objective. I thought there'd be a leash there, but it doesn't really end up doing that much. Pace starting his DPS.
Gonna try and get as much damage now down on Cheer as he can, getting a lot of those autos down, cycling through the Vigilance, the double shot passive, the command attack, Dissonance, gets a double in, as now Shun gets to Nimbus strike forwards. Milky Way will try and dance his way around the play. Can't get another turret shot onto Scout though, despite the 3 talent strike knockup, and JDG finally find a clean fight. That's Ace and the Atacon for JDG.
And despite the fact that JDG, we've had some criticisms of their objective play, they are going to win this game. FPX, they have really struggled to team fight. JDG's team fights have been better, and while we've criticized them for some things, rightfully so, they are besting FPX here in game 1.
Very much so. We're now up about 8,000 gold. We'll have a look at this play, because it starts, of course, with the Talia having to come in from long, long ways away.
They're trying to layer down the ults at the same time, but it's not in a choke point. It's not on an open field, Ned. On an open field, the Dothraki Horde. The D in JDG stands for Dothraki.
Of course, yeah.
It does, of course, yeah. Shockwave, really good from Scout there. It's a great triple to get a ton of damage down as they're trying to get in range for a smite fight. Not really positioning for the team fight, more for the objective steal. I think it ends up killing them, really. And again, JDG's in a so much better position when they're on the objective itself. Just get to the objective first. It makes your life so much easier.
It really would, and it doesn't happen, and now JDG gets to turn around, and a nice attempt there from Milky Way. I give him credit for turning around, getting the Thunder Sky proc, and getting the knock-up on Scout, but can't bring down the Orianna, doesn't remove her stacks off this Dark Seal, and now going to try and look for an engage here. Care just get the shove on to Scout, who might now be in danger. The Shockwave comes on through, but not in time to keep the Ori alive. Man down, they can turn back towards the Dragon. Sell point potentially for FPX.
I guess what happened again, JDG not on the objective first. They gave up pressure in that river, and they allowed FPX to get in there. Now, with no Shockwave, no Orianna, can JDG fight back? It's all really on the Equalizer and on Paze to see what they can do.
Equalizer comes across, not fantastic, splits the team apart slightly, but it's Sheer and Dway just putting their bodies and shields in the blaze. Milky Way over the wall, gets up to Pace, trying to get the bubble down, can't quite do the value they were hoping for. Almost again, but the follow-up isn't there on the knock-up on Pace.
And Milky Way goes way too deep. Look, you took the dragon. You ended up getting a great moment, but now you've opened up a Baron opportunity by going way too far. Milky Way's re-debut has been flashy, but without substance. His flash in for the ultimate earlier, not effective. His flash in for the knock-up here onto the AD carry, again, not effective, as Pace could dance back and reset the fight. That's going to open up a Baron after FPX's jungler makes a big mistake.
You see that replay, because I think it was Wink hitting a really good Aqua Prison. On a very sharp timing that kept Milky Way in a tricky position. Nearly steals that with the true shot barrage. Not quite.
Well, they got within a couple hundred HP. That wasn't bad, actually. If the smite was off point, potentially could have been a freak steal. Haven't seen one of them for a while. JDG take the top lane inner turret. They take the Baron. They might lose their mid lane adder, but I think Paze will be able to wave clear that. So FPX, yeah, they're going to have to be really ruining that decision to engage around the fight after they've taken that dragon. They got themselves that soul point. They're on a decent spot. Milky Way ended up doing a pretty fun thing here, where he ended up charging up his Q, but not using it to kill the dragon. Gets the knock-up.
Oh, Sheer didn't get the knock-up. He shorted his Q.
Well, worth noting that Sheer, you can't choose where the Q goes on. You can't choose where that goes, so if it's just there, it's there. And the pillar was already down. It takes a little while to activate. He couldn't really get in range there. It's not on him.
Wow, doesn't get anywhere near that Lucian. And ends up being really awkward. Now I'm going to try and find one at the backside. If you've tried once, may as well try again. Does manage to get a fair amount of value onto Pace. This time he's in danger. Much better coordination from FPX.
Yeah, the Monster Energy Blast Cone strikes again. Teleports in. Dragon not available just yet, but FPX might be able to stop the Baron push now. That's a much better play from FPX and Milky Way.
Try and turn on towards this turret. Have the equalizer come on down to clear the wave, though, so they can't actually get that bounty they were hoping for. But again, nice pick off. I'll manage to get a few of those now, at least.
I'm going to imagine Paze had flash while that was happening, so I'm kind of surprised that Paze died to that shove. I suppose the Ornn ultimate is the thing that really kind of set that up, but would have thought I'd be able to live through that. Bad of Paze to to preserve that summoner, rather. Should have really just used that. 4-item Lucian really does have such a power on the map. You can't afford to be going down easily like that.
Potentially get this tier 1 top side here. We'll be able to get there. There's the bounty. We'll take it. At least this Talia's within touching distance of our opposite number. It really is the other lanes where things are tricky. Shun right now quietly managed to get himself 1,500 gold ahead. Is 306, 3 items on a Wukong, got 3 items on the Rumble. We've talked about the Lucian, who's now at the 4. At least very least, Jachi's got 3. Got himself towards that last Whisper now as well. So building towards that 4th. Will be hitting a little bit harder now, but still hasn't been the cleanest game in some ways from either teams. I feel like JDG, for all they've had the better end of a lot of this game, haven't been excellent at extending the leads, and they've given windows back into FPX, which I feel like they shouldn't have had.
And speaking of, hang on, jumping forward onto the Ezreal. Nice damage!
Oh, Redemption comes on down. Care will survive, but ow.
Jesus, yeah. Paze trying to do his best on the Lucian. Lucian is more powerful the less CC there is in the game, because he gets to dance around and do stuff like that. JDG get nothing off the Baron power play. They get 1 kill's worth of gold, 500 gold. That's it. They don't actually get to blow open the game. They get more map control, but they're not able to get that much. 10 seconds left of the Baron. That's a little bit of wave clear from the Ezreal ultimate. The Braum Shield stopping a few autos on tower. I don't think they'll be able to get the inhibitor tower fully. And that'll be the end of their push.
Doesn't look like that's for sure. Have this forward was breakable. Sorry, stand behind me. Unbreakable being the shield. Looking for the Q1 to Paze, who best to dance around here. Been caught out once or twice, but it does feel like FPX, when they have looked for the Lucian, haven't always done so coordinated. Let's see that dragon fight where we a really deep jump on him and he survives. Wasn't quite.
Oh, Shun!
Though, finds an insane angle onto Jachi. Blink and you miss it. Flash Warrior Trickster and a Cyclone to boot, and they'll pick up 2 members as the Baron falls off. FPX let their guards down.
The unseen shockwave is the deadliest. The Shun Cyclone is fantastic, but the shockwave on top of him is the thing that does the damage. And blink and you miss it, rightfully said. Jachi caught out.
Ooh, has to flash this time. Crescent Guard comes on down. Milky Way buying a bit of time, but again, they just get inside the Thunderdome, and Paze is too scary. They have to try and jump him or the game is over. And unfortunately, they fail to jump him. And he manages to slide away with that flash. Now Care and Dway have to do the Lord's work somehow. Wink actually in danger here. Forced to flash, but has to summon a spell.
Yeah, so JDG not able to end the game, but they get goddamn close, very close to finishing things off. They do break the base, they'll get 2 inhibitors and open up the 3rd. FPX are limping at this point as Jachi caught out in that mid lane. It's hard to react to the invisible shockwave Cyclone. Dragon will go up to JDG as we speak.
Actually had Flash and Arcane Shift, could maybe have gotten out there if his reactions were quick enough, but wasn't on the ball. Let the guard down, as we said. Look, the Baron was off. It was over. They've survived. And then Shun with the ball on top of him gets into the back line and causes immense distress for Fun plus Phoenix, who had the fun minus the sad plus Phoenix.
Yeah, I mean, can we get a series of... You know, we had like the Jin Egg, the Glad plane, the Sad plane, the Mad plane. Do we have anything like that for FPX?
I feel like we should.
Yeah, it's just quite... Yeah, it's quite hard to say much about the... I mean, we've got a Sad Bird, Mad Bird. I guess we could do the bird ones. Yeah. Someone cook them up. MS Paint it right now. Just like a really sad chicken.
Just with a plus and then a minus for when they're sad.
Oh, fun minus Phoenix.
Yeah,
That's what I never said that before. Shockwave's not bad.
Scout actually just gone golden. Shot Variety doesn't really land because he's gone golden at the same time. Trying to get the knock-up on his guy. Gets a low, very low. Can't quite bring him down though. The CC from Wink is obnoxious. They could not do anything to Oriana for a solid 3 seconds. Now Jachi needs to hop away, but Xiaoshu's having none of it. Flash with the Nimbus cloak will finally go down, but Shun brings down his opposite number. And Jachi as well goes down. Scout TPs into the base, and JDG will finally end the game.
Hayes spends about half of that fight being in straight melee range, and it doesn't matter. FPX, they cannot overcome JDG, even with the addition of Milky Way in this first game. Does JDG take the first game?
A lot of things relatively well, but isn't super specialized in anything aside from sort of AoE and team fights, I suppose. FPX, I think as Alex was noting, a lot more specialized in its objectives. Higher ceiling, lower floor. The riff we go, JDG skybox there, we know where we are. Let's see what the crowds are here in force today.
敌军还有30秒到达战场，碾碎他。
Sounds like we don't have the crowd mics on today. I heard the brief faint hint of some commentators in the background from the audience area. Does sound like they've decided to give us a bit of respite from Giles, which is a bit of a shame. But there we go, Jue.
Well, last game they were very quiet, so I don't know whether...
The mics are a bit low.
Yeah, well, I heard some, but like, it didn't seem like the drivers were that loud in the arena is the thing. It really weirds me out that the icons on the left-hand side are flipped around, by the way, because the Kindred masks just don't look right like that. Wink over the wall. Might be able to flip onto Jachi here.
Oh, boy.
Okay, gets the mount up. Have the shield already. Good damage onto the Varus at the level 1.
Actually, a little bit of danger, but it's got the lethal tempo, so a bit of ability to turn things around. But again, that's a lot of damage already down onto the Varus.
And damage onto AD carry always matters more than damage onto the support, because supports tend to pack the extra healing pot, extra healing pot, and then also... when you're in extended fights, if the AD carry goes down, the other one will clean up. Even though at the early levels, yes, supports do significant damage compared to the AD carries as well. It's a good level 1, and a good scout out by Wink. He managed to wrap his way all the way around to get that play.
Very good work there. Gets a lot of value onto Jachi. May now have to be a bit wary as a potential mana comes through Way. Actually starting with the pulverized level 1, not the headbutt. So Vampire doing a lot of headbutt level 1. Can kind of knock people away from waves and that kind of thing. But pulverized pretty good defensively into things like the Rel.
And that could be really important because JDG, they'll need to find a way to get onto these backline carries. If they manage to get the Kindred and the Varus down in quick order in a fight, with the Aurora jumping in and getting a burst in onto the two squishies in the backline. And yeah, game's good for you. Team fights are good for you. And that will largely rely on the Rel actually getting a good angle in. Milky Way is going to go straight down to his red buff and make sure that it's not contested there. Shun is walking over to the other side of the map. Milky Way did put his mounting dread onto that red buff. Might get the buff, not sure. Hang on, his smite's not quite up yet. This could be a contest for this.
Yeah, he's going to have to back off on this one.
Smite's coming up just now. Manages to get it. Really well played from Milky Way. Great timing there. Couldn't have left that a second later.
Yeah, getting those extra autos down, pulls it across. Well, we'll lose the Raptors for this. But he's kind of okay with that. With the shove coming on through down A camp, it could be worse.
Given the situation he's in, with enemy bot lane roaming, Shun invading, that is the best he can get. Secure your own buff, get your own buff for the Kindred, and get the camps which you can do. You're going to walk through Tribrush, which is going to be warded out, so they now have vision on him again. I guess we'll see whether Milky Way can now contest with something like Gromp or something in bot side, because he is now a level 3 Kindred with red buff, which is typically pretty good versus the Trundle, actually.
Gonna spot out Trundle on this. Got himself Scuttle Crab spawning shortly. See which side the mark is. It is on this side. Won't have smite. Important to note, but needs to force it away from that banana bush so Trundle can come down and fight it. But I don't think Shun is interested.
No. With the wave bouncing back, it wasn't going to be contested anyway. Milky Way gets Mark 1, gets level 4, will recall and maybe look to fight on top side Scuttle. Jue and Jachi should know this. It should be communicated to them. They don't want a hard fight on the bot side. The recall, get himself first item, which is going to be that Rectrix for the attack speed and movement speed. and he'll start trying to fight for that scuttle on top side.
I'm assuming he's going to head towards Kraken Slayer, then does love to go that build, does Milky Way. See whether he does that into the Trinity Force, which has often been pretty regular, or whether he wants to convert to crit, like your Collector, Lord Dom's kind of double stack that you sometimes see on Kindred too.
If you go towards Collector in this game, you're straight trolling. You're against a Sion, you're against a Trundle, you're against a Rel.
These are triple AD carry as well.
You are full AD. Effectively, the Galio is not going to be there for magic damage. If you go towards Collector, you're straight trolling. You cannot afford to go towards that. And I know Milky Way loves going towards that Collector. It's just not mathematically there. And Milky Way getting a mark off of both scuttles.
That's wild.
2 marks in the first 5 minutes. Milky Way rolling high on that. It managed to hit the RNG in a way that I didn't on my horse training earlier.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, it was 5 on speed, and it was 37%. I thought, screw it, that'll be enough. It wasn't enough. We lost that roll. We'll pray for more. It's -1 for sheer. Unfortunate, though.
And it doesn't quite get on top of that cannon minion. Bot side, though, pace has been left really low. It's actually going to be ignited by Wink to force off the dive.
Yep. Someone on the other side heal now, apart from Jway after the heal had worn off.
Gets himself tucked back up again. Jachi did actually burn the Ghost there. I think he was looking to really aggressive for that turret. So it's down that extra summoner spell, but Ghost is a lot lower cooldown, so you can be a little bit more perspective with the use of that summon.
A good early game from FPX, actually. They the bounce back of bot wave ended up saving them a lot, because if you get that, they got the bounce on bot wave at the right time to make sure that Milky Way could get there in time for bot scuttle. Couldn't defend his Raptors, yes, but could end up going towards that bot scuttle, and then allowed him to recall, go towards that top side. That all comes from bot lane bounce back of that wave. Shun gonna go start up Dragon first off. Kindred taking respawn of Krugs, so he'll be able to keep on farming. He's happy with that. Level 6 hit for top lane. As you can see that the Sion actually pretty happy versus the Camille.
Yeah.
But the thing is, Camille does a bunch of true damage, but doesn't do percent HP damage, which is, besides with the W. Really struggles to get through the Sion. Contest over the Dragon now, actually.
Some value potentially here. Milky Way into the back of the pit. Does have the Trundle mark. Look to hop on forward, make the smite bite. 1 by Milky Way. Now in danger as he's caught between worlds, exhausted. Still hopping well. Wink is in a lot of danger. Mounting Dread comes on down. Care in danger himself as the Justice Punch comes on through. Milky Way's going to leave. Jachi may well be forced to back on out of this. And Dway goes down.
Jachi doesn't have flash.
He's dead.
He's just there clearing out wards. Milky Way might be able to hop over to help him.
I think he might die as well, though.
Yeah, a little bit dangerous, but Milky Way. Hang on, Shear's coming over. They're continuing the fight.
Scout's in danger. You get hit by the Mounting Dread, tried to catch out Scout, flashed away to safety, but now Paze is in danger.
Paze, he's trying to look for the flank, get some damage down, still has flash, not in too much danger right now, and Sheer doing damage to Wing.
Ooh, gets a Q2 damage, Milky Way hit by the decimating smash, but not the knockup now. Xiaoxi potentially in danger. Mounting Dread coming on forwards. Into the backline goes Sheer with the Hex Take ultimatum, should pick up Wing. Dway's TP'd in, Xiaoxi now in danger. Last auto from Milky Way, gets the kill onto Jachi after the dance of arrows. And FPX come away with an extra 2 to make it, and even trading kills after the roam down from the Camille.
It's another bloodbath! Another bloodbath! Milky Way ends up getting the smite steal, and even though they have the worst terrain with their backs against the wall or around the Dragon Pit, they end up getting enough damage down to force JDG back. Shun has been out-jungled in this early game. Gets outsmited here, can't get the objective, and doesn't have the level 6 or anything like the Subjugate to help really take down those tank stats. Yes, Care ends up dying and Dway does too, but FPX getting the objective and then turning around kills after makes it more than worthwhile as Xiaoshu thinks the fight is over, so goes to push bot lane, but then the rest of the team starts fighting. The communication is obviously off point here.
And Milky Way says we can play this because Shearer's here. Scout has to flash, and that splits things up because then Pace is in an awkward spot because he was trying to wrap around to keep things in play that way, and then the Hunters become the Hunted.
I mean, Pace still had flash and cleanse. I actually don't think he's in a bad spot. I think the rest of the team just didn't follow up. He's still fine. He gets to recall. Okay, Pace is the one that actually makes it out alive. Yeah. So I'd actually take that back and say that Pace made the right decision. The rest of the team just left him out to dry a little bit. Could have followed up on that. The Corky's great early game damage, but they didn't use it well.
Get a single Grub pull away for now. Happy to pick that one up. Oh no, Jachi's flash in that last play was trying to pick off Wink, who flashed out of the pit to avoid the arrow. It was nearly very nice from FPX, but ended up leaving Jachi caught in there. But they stayed around and kept their Varus alive, so it ends up being a bit more even. FPX can't play for more than the one Grub. Probably wise, I think, in the grand scheme of things.
Also worth noting as well, during that fight, the mark wasn't claimed by Milky Way because that was onto Shun. Those kind of early fights can sometimes double dip onto the oh no, that's bad factor because you end up giving marks up towards the Kindred as well. Milky Way isn't going to be able to get a third mark off of camps right now. So when it goes around to to 3 marks. That's when it starts going on to the shallow jungle camps of the enemy side. So
Yeah,
that's
Gromp and Raptors.
Raptors and Gromp, which are closer towards your side of the map. I think once you get to 5 marks, that's when it starts going towards Wolves and Krugs, and when they're a little bit deeper. And then after that, it starts going on to the major objectives like Dragon, Baron eventually to stuff like Herald. You know, these objectives when you start getting tons and tons of stuff. But of course, the 4 mark is what Kindred is really chasing after, because it gives you your biggest bump in stats. Then it's every 3 marks after that gives you
range increase,
range increase. However, every single mark does give you attack speed when you hop with your Q, gives you % HP damage when you have your W field down when Wolf starts to chomping, and then the E also gives you slightly more execute damage as well. So even though we focus on the 4, the 7, the 10 marks, these big breakpoints, every single mark does give you combat stats and can be very important, particularly in this game when you are trying to deal as much DPS to the front line as possible as this Kindred, who has built a Dirk, so they will be going towards the Collector, which does make me sad.
So it'll be interesting. I think stopping off from the Dirk, we sometimes see Kindreds do this, where you do this early on if you're snowballing well, so then basically get the Collector and then kind of switch, also go towards Cracker's Head, then quickly finish off the Collector. You're trying to get as much power out of your item parts as possible. Will allow you for a really powerful 3-item mark. Because realistically, what Milky Way will do is go Lord Dom's third to have as much armor pen as possible.
I just think that the Collector is just invalidated in that build. I think you can go towards something like an Infinity Edge or something like that. Instead, still got his mark on Trundle. Xiaoshu might be forced to ult here. He is indeed. Sheer not able to get in range to use the Hextech Ultimatum. Could have flashed, but didn't want to use that. Would have potentially been taken down, actually. He was quite low HP because the Sion, as we were saying, decent laning phase against the Camille, tends to win out on that matchup.
Certainly can if you get big trades out when the shield is down. Sheer right now, though, doing okay, at least even in CS. Managed to pick up a kill or so as well. Feeling happy enough about that one. Looks like it'll be a Sunfire build from Xiaoshu. Makes a lot of sense when you're into double AD carries and a Camille.
Well, sometimes, so this is, we do see potentially the Sunfire coming through, yes, but sometimes we see the, not the Unendings, but the Hollow Radiance anyway, because it has better HP scaling on the burn. The burn of Sunfire is 1% max HP, it is that too. Sometimes you will see it even into higher AP comps, because you get 4% HP, max HP scaling onto the burn of Hollow Radiance, which means your damage and your wave clue is actually much better. Right here, once the extra stats, the extra armor, does make a lot of sense, but in case you see people doing it in lower magic damage games, but still going towards the magic resist item, you can understand why.
Jachi's been chunked out pretty heavily here as Dragon has spawned, but Pei's also eating an arrow. Means both AD carries not at the best spot for this. If there's honey fruit in the river, maybe that allows one of them to come back to a better spot. FPX now marauding into said river, looking to make sure they are there first.
Does help when you're at the objective first, when you get to stand and fight with the Kindred ultimates. Last game was largely determined by who turned up to the objective first, and JDG eventually ended up getting the most of that, and FPX, they won the fights which they were at the objective first too, and forced JDG to walk into them. It was a little bit different because there's more engage on both sides. Full charge Sion Q, going to go into the armor shred from the Roar of the Slayer as well, which is a great ability name. Sion has very good ability names in general. Wink going to get slammed into the wall, not going to be too much damage. Now Bray actually doesn't have a way out, could be ult for ult trade, but uses the heal instead. Wink, Magnet Storm down.
That's a big one, actually. Well over eager to make that one happen. I think with the Galio turning up as well and the lack of damage they ended up having going forwards there, they went, okay, well, that was a bad idea. But doesn't mean you're engaged now, a lot more limited for JDG.
Yeah, and Dre holds onto his ult. And this mission failed for Wink, player who came in to replace missing long-term support of JDG. Dre now at half HP. Now that's useful. That's not something that Wink could do. Scout, good damage there on the Aurora.
Let's go across the Veil briefly. That bush is very dark and dangerous. Milky Way starts with the Dragon Shun stepping forwards. Pei's cannot walk up there very easily. They jump onto Wink, gets the taunt afterwards. The Winds of War comes on down, tries to crash down away. Nice ult from Milky Way, keeps people alive as the Between Worlds comes on down. Pei's though, potentially a threat. FPX very low. Pei's hopping on forwards. Galio geared to the backside. Alistair is down. Damage onto Milky Way, can't quite finish off the kills. This is a horribly split fight for FPX. They couldn't get any damage down onto Pei's, and despite the Lamb's Respite buying time, everyone's still gonna die.
It's the Lamb's Respite, not Lamb's Savior. It gives them a brief moment, but doesn't give them the fight. FPX think they found a great fight onto Wink's Rel, who honestly had a bit of an awkward entry into both parts of that fight, really. But they don't finish the kill, and they leave themselves way out in the lurch. A Scout on the Aurora manages to get a ton of damage, and FPX don't manage to shut down Pei's either, who goes rampant, fully stacking the Conqueror and getting damage to chase off the Kindred. Big turnaround fight for JDG. Dway, half HP at the start of the fight because of the Aurora. A lot burned onto the Rel, and it just doesn't matter. gets out with the shield from the crash down, a flash after as well. Scout gets a huge ult, and even though the Lamb's Respite is there, that's all it is. A brief breath, and they just can't win the fight after.
And Sheer goes in really, really deep, trying to get onto someone, but it just ends up with the two of them caught in the middle of everyone, while the AD carries and the support are forced to flash away. Xiaoshu flashes the fat wall, gets in range to get the kill onto the Kindred, and then Jackie eats a big one and dies.
Hayes is very, very scary now. Has that first item going towards the Muramana second. I'm interested to see which build he goes towards. You can, against stuff like the Camille Galio, go towards a bit more bruisery stuff because you get the extra, 700 HP between Triforce and Spear of Shojin if you want to go towards that later. However, full crit. This is a burstable team from FPX, which can be very, very scary. JDG get themselves a gold lead, even though it looked like the Kindred was going to take over. Worth noting, after the double scuttle on the 2 marks, has not managed to get another mark. And now we start to see the problem of, okay, you have dropped in towards that Dirk. You are not snowballing anymore. You are against a full Sunfire. Sam, you have Tabby onto the jungle and the support. Dirk is now doing nothing. You are going to be punished for building that collector in a way that, sadly, I thought he might be.
The problem is the other build, the Kraken Slayer Trinity Force, fantastic into armor either. It's fine in a 1v1 in terms of your dueling and your ability to dance around, but you do become surprisingly low damage unless you can get a lot of autos off. Does become a bit tricky. Does get the third mark off the Scuttle Crab.
Well, okay, in that case, don't pick the Kindred then, Sam.
Yeah.
If neither item is good if neither build is good into armor, why are you picking it to Scion, Trundle, and Rel? I rest my case. Goes towards the Kraken Slayer. Can go towards the Lord Dominic second, maybe, but you cannot afford to go Collector now into the armor stacking.
Does it anyway. Often will. It feels like a better build path in terms of just your average game state, but it's just going to be rough here in this game as the Scion ults on forwards, the armor stacking is beginning, and this Herald is surely JDG's to claim. Xiaoshu trying to hold the door shut. Barris doing some damage. Sheer on the side. Can they get the Galio Camille combo? Trying to get onto some. Oh, Sheer just missed his hook shot. Gets a knock up regardless. They do bring down Wink. That's okay, but ugly stuff from Sheer. No flash, misses the hook shot onto the wall. Maybe just a little spooked by the amount of members he saw over that wall. Scout could have also returned fire with the ultimate. JDG will claim the Herald, get the feats of strength as well. And they will lose 1 kill, but I don't think they're unhappy. Sheer now could be caught out on this top side. What was shown on top side could flip shot away. Remember, the pillar can interrupt. He's already used it. Yeah, he missed. He went in and missed. In comes the Galio Hero's entrance, but it's very ugly stuff. Sheer with some abysmal play. Milky Way's going to come on over, but Wink's now coming down as well. They need to start hopping out. I think Chair is likely going to be in trouble. Does manage to back away briefly. The Justice Punch is interrupted, and JDG turn up and force Sheer. What on earth was that? JDG sending a love letter to Sheer, and Sheer, their old top laner, gifting them that kill. The last couple of fights from this Camille have been very, very poor. Milky Way was trying to roam up with the Camille Galio starting the fight, but because of Sheer's misplay and how far behind he is in terms of gold now, it achieves nothing. Xiaoshu left a free farm on the other side, will get first turret of the game, and this hyper tank of Scion is going to be ungodly hard to kill. The tank slayers of FPX are not online, and we've already complained about the Kindred build will not be able to do that either into the crazy armor stacking early. FPX, I thought they'd have great anti-tank damage, but it's just not going to come online in time. No, it's not. Let's see whether they can get there in time. The Blade of the Rune King is at least done from Jacchi. You have got a Camille. We'll have a look at this again, because Shun, I think, just walks around the corner here. Maybe just flash on in. Milky Way spotted out here, so they know that he is around, but a little far away. And that's the thing. They know that, look, we can look for a quick play. Let's just look for something here. The subjugate not even thrown down too early. It's thrown right here because he knows that if he does get hit by the hook shot, he'll be CC'd into the Galio, and that could be a potential just 100-0 combo. Good play from Shun there. I think his Wukong game was good. He had the MVP from that. Ends up getting a great play through in this one too. Shun was one of the people we'd criticized the most from JDG. It's good to see him on better individual perform because we know how good Shun can be. He is a world's finalist. This guy on JDG was a big pickup for them in the offseason, despite the drama around the move from BLG. JDG, bit of a ship of Theseus now, really. They have no one remaining from their legacy lineup of 2022 and 2023. All those glory years for them, looking to find a new era for themselves. Herald charges into mid lane, gets a chunk, gets priority there for this dragon spawning in about 10 seconds. The FPX to claim, sorry, it'll be JDG's to claim. Be their second of the game. They've already got themselves feature strength because they got the early kills, got the first turret, and they also got that Herald as well. Ended up with all 3 objectives in the grand scheme of things across this game. FaZe and the rest of JDG just in mid lane looking to again fight for that control.
You know, I've just thought of another bad thing which can happen in this game too. Look, let's be honest. Milky Way is going to be forced to ult early a lot of times because they're behind. This build from Aurora excels at applying the twofold hex, waiting, letting the Leandries and the Riftmaker stack up, so the mark is taken by Milky Way. He's on 5 marks now. That's not bad, but that is actually very good.
Yeah.
But if you have to pop that ult early, and the Riftmaker Leandries pops up, and then you wait for it to pop, and then pull back the Q, your ultimate is going to feel really, really bad. Scout can just wait to pull back that Q and get all that damage through. So keep your eyes on that later into the game. Scout at 204, another person that we've oft criticized on this roster of JDG, in a really good point of power on the Aurora now.
Very much is. There's our gold stats. Xiaoshu, Pace, Scout all well ahead of curve. Milky Way at least ahead of this Trundle. That's your one person who's within touching distance or ahead in the game for FPX. Everyone else, I mean, look at Sheer in particular, down 1,700 gold to the Scion, who's 2 items and steel caps already. Upgraded steel caps, no less. Not the full bought ones, but it's got the mark of strength to it.
No objectives in terms of our regularly spawning ones, but there is an Atakan around, which, you know, we like to have a good int around there. For those, as Milky Way does now finish that goddamn collector second item. I'm telling you, I have a bone to pick about this item. You see how many ninja tabi on the other side?
Yeah.
Think, oh, flat armor penetration, that'll solve the game.
I mean, you
for
then
us.
ignore the ninja tabis for a bit.
No, Sam. No, you don't. That's the goddamn problem. I actually have to say, I do wonder whether it would have been better to go towards the Triforce in this game. Triforce Lord Dominance regards is actually not a bad build as well.
Just go Lord Dom second, genuinely.
Yeah. No, I have to say, I think that is a highly underrated thing. Partly because people are like, oh, but it's just not that much more AD. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. Build the percent armor pen.
No, yeah.
Your job here is to kill the tanks. Collector ain't killing tanks.
Look, you've got Blade the Ring King, you've got Camille, you have got some people going tank killer builds. I get that maybe this way you can threaten Scout or Pays a bit more freely, or even the Trundle honestly does hate the Collector. It's often a good item into him, even into things like the Deadmans. But of course the upgraded steel caps make that hurt. If you can at least get to Last Whisper, then this build stabilizes again.
However, you've put yourself in a position where you must get to that point, rather than going for it earlier and feeling better about it.
Yeah.
Milky Way does have the 5 stacks. You see that W doing a lot of percent HP damage to Wink. Does somehow need to get into the pit. Can potentially flash ult. Pillar stops Cat.
It's been rough from the solo laners this game on a mechanical level from FPX. To land the Chains of Corruption. Xiaoshu actually does eat a fair amount of damage there.
Atakan was helping out. That's why. Atakan ends up getting a ton of shred through. And yeah, Jachi, maybe he'll be the one who's doing the damage to the front line right now. Has gone for the honor hit Varus, as we've noted multiple times throughout this game. And with the Blade of the Ruined King, we'll be happy to shred through some of that HP. Of course, he doesn't have himself his own armor pen right now, but then again, Varus needs less of it because he has so much mixed damage, and his W, which is the percent damage on abilities popping those stacks, does crazy work against the armor stackers. Because, Varus being mixed damage has always been one of the feathers in his cap.
You can slip around some of this build priority then from JDG. I think there is some value to that. Of course, the problem is you look at the other side, and Corki nearly at that 2-item spike himself will be a real menace this game.
I'm really interested to see what Pays goes for his 3rd item, actually. Is it going to be... Oh, he's got the Ruby Crystalline. Yeah, I was wondering whether he'd go towards the Bruiser item. I think he's going Shojin next, which will be really, really nasty. Because, again, Shojin gives you 400 HP, Triforce gives you 300 between the two of them. 700 extra HP.
It's a lot.
It's a hell of a lot, actually. It is, especially once you... I mean, Wink might go towards a Locket or something later. He's gone for the Zeke's Convergence for a little bit more aggressive potential. But if he manages to get in towards a Locket, that's really nice to see. Jachi has that Rage Blade now, though. Maybe that's the go button for FPX.
And again, you have still got a Camille. I remember Kindred does a surprising amount of percent HP damage purely off the W as well. Never mind your Mountain Dread execute and stuff. You've got the Blade of the Ruined King. HP isn't necessarily the worst thing for FPX to have to play into. They've got some of the better HP percent deleters in the game on their squads. And so the Shojin might give you a bit more bruiseriness, but, you know, there are worse comps to have to manage that with.
Minute till Dragon, JDG not going towards the Ascon just yet, trying to push up lanes. FPX significant disadvantage, and a lot of this game will come around to, can you realistically deal with the Scion before someone like the Corki or the Aurora dunks you back, really? The Scion is in my eyes, the main character of this game.
Yeah.
Because if this Sion gets to hold the door shut, that's a problem. And Xiaoshu, a player who's also new onto JDG, it's very impressive that he's managed to put himself into that position. Dwayne forced the flash, which is really not what he wants. Has the spellbook smites. Has the Hex flash, I suppose, so he's better for him to blow the flash than another person on his team. Still not great in general.
Still has got the ult, still got the smite from the spellbook. Always worth tracking that, especially when I think the Atacon. Scout going to take the opportunity to play side lane. He does love to do that. It's a characteristic thing of him as a player, but Atacon now started. Spread out by the far side alteration.
Scout trying to take that turret, really wants to get that teleport in.
Got eyes on it. There is the turret. Can they keep pulling FPX in an awkward spot? There is no one responding to that wave shove right now from FPX.
Yeah, so JDG reset the Atacon, forced FPX to stay to that point. Care is getting in range for ultimate, has the second level teleport now from the Aurora. He's gone back to base and bought the upgraded Spell Slinger shoes for the percent and flat magic pen.
Care on an angle. FPX to get that wave crash in mid lane. Ends up being a lost wave to a lost wave or two. Too much more. Atacon still there, not fully aggro. Dragon also up. This all gets messy in the river. Care can potentially catch Pays! Oh, Pays! No, 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 no! Flashes away, Valkyrie's away, but goes to Valhalla as they catch him in the baby cage. Chains of corruption across everyone. Gets more damage. They murder them all!
Xiaoshu goes down as well as it ends up being, what, a 3-for-1.
Yeah.
A Sheer goes down, but Pays, that is unforgivable. You've just seen the Galio walking down river. You know he's somewhere in the fog of war. And as the AD carry versus the Camille Galio combo, you should never be the one walking first. A terrible mistake from the AD carry of JDG. Something that's been said on Doomby's stream recently is apparently JDG's communications have suffered from Pays being in the roster. Scout has to translate for him, and it often leads to delays or mistakes in communication. He's on a ward walking through there. He's spotted walking down to this point too, I believe. Maybe not, but he did look. You can never be the first person into Fog of War as the Corki. Walk straight into the taunt.
Dear me.
That is just not discipline from Plays. Uses the cleanse, flash Valkyrie, and it's not enough. This is why we said, look, picking Corki into the Camille Galio is not fun. Gets punished there. The Varus starts to free fire up, but this all comes down to Pays with an ill-timed face check.
It's really poor. Scout flashes over the wall, does eventually get the kill at the very least, but I think in a lot of ways the damage is done. That's now a lot of extra kills. This Varus is at 2.5 items. The Camille's at 2.5 items.
The Atacon.
You've got the Atacon, you get the dragons, you pick up a load of petals. The Goldie's back in touching distance. And look, I think at this point, those tank killers are beginning to get a bit more online. Yeah, the Kindred's more about blowing up the Corki or the Aurora in this build, but your other carries can do the work now.
Yeah, Milky Way going towards the Hex Drinker, it looks like. Third.
Might
so
be Merc Treads.
Maybe, potentially that suit. Wants to build up those boots. JDG going towards the Baron.
They are indeed. Your eyes on it. Dark in the river right now for FPX. Burned a lot of cooldown, 6 seconds on Hero's entrance. Down to half HP, not the fastest Baron take here. Looking to find a pillar, just get a slow, but nothing more.
So JDG not going to get engaged onto this time. The ults were back up from FPX. Here comes the Sion starting the fight himself.
Way headbutts out that Sion. Sheer holds the hook.
Wow.
Oh my god, the damage onto Wink. He ain't tanky. Blow that one up nicely. Milky Way gets the kill. Still on 5 marks. Doesn't have that one quite yet. Care into the backside. Gets the taunt, but Pace has to Valkyrie. He's not doing that much damage until just now. They've gone too far. Turn around now from JDG. Subjugate with running. Care goes down.
And the front line from JDG this time stands strong. Pillar onto Jachi. Does have flash. Might be forced to use
Yeah,
it.
it does. So, oh my days. Milky Way throws down the Lamb's Pipe. Buys a bit of time. Didn't use it in the fight earlier. Still caught inside there. Caught in the turret. Does pick up one. Katrina try and hop away. A lot of damage onto Pays, who has to Valkyrie out. Milky Way just away from that decimating Smash Scout. Coming in here, though, will land a weirding and bring down the Kindred.
All 5 members of FPX die. I was wondering, actually, if they should have backed off and looked for the Baron with all those kills. Shun dying under turret removes their smites. They will be able to break the base, though, with both the Aurora and the Corki doing good damage to towers and 2 Grubs with them. So that's a couple of towers, 5 kills, I think, for 2, because Wink died at the start and then Shun died later. JDG walk away with a big fight. And this, again, was a great DPS check. Milky Way now finishes the Lord Dominates Regards, but you gotta wonder if that had come in second instead, whether they would be able to deal with the Sion on the Trundle a little bit easier and help Jachi out with the tank killing duty. Bit of anti-synergy there too, by the way, as Xiaoshu could have been locked up in front of that Varus, but was headbutted away. A little bit of a miscommunication. I think he used one or the other, the headbutt or that, or the Corki the Varus ultimate. And speaking of that Corki, not Camille ulted this time, not Galio ulted, actually gets to free fire. The big combo from FX does not land onto the backline.
Yeah, and the Lamb's Bite buys a bit of time, does actually allow Milky Way to get an extra kill or so afterwards, but Jachi can't quite stand to deliver. When everyone diving into that bush, Milky Way was out of range to be able to press that Lantern Spike. They went too far for him to be able to press that one out, and then Scout just flips over the wall and throws a shotgun blast.
That E, very easy to hit, does go towards the Seekers next as well. Not going towards someone like the Riftmaker. Realize actually I can go forward to Magic Resist Shred. Why not? JDG might be able to finish this off in a 2-0. Milky Way has re-debut back in towards the LPL. Had some bright moments. This game's had some bright moments like that early clear, but it hasn't been the cleanest. No, honestly, Milky Way, his first split was incredible, but for those of you who kind of didn't update your views on Milky Way from that point, his second split was much worse. And honestly, you know, you look at how he was playing on RNG this year at the start of it, I think you can blame, you know, team dynamics and just the whole situation at RNG being very, very strange.
Hard to make conclusions there, for sure.
Hard to make conclusions, absolutely. But I do think that he was poor compared to his debut. He had fallen off a lot. He's looking to reclaim that amount of form which he had before.
Look, he's finally got that 3 out of mark. This is where this build really comes online into armor. It's the highest armor pen build you can realistically go on a Kindred. Stacks well with your stack, stacks well with your mounting dread, stacks well with your W. Has now got that ability to really shred that front line.
It does. Doesn't have that much self-heal, though. No HP in the build. No resist. No lifesteal.
Don't deal well, no.
Sheer on the flank. Does have flash. Sheer has had an awful game, sadly, for himself. Yeah, bit more of a Tom than a Jerry in this one. He has a mouse map, Tom and Jerry. There's Doraemon occasionally, too. Still on the flank. Not sure if he was spotted around the flanks there. Well, FPX, they should know the Baron's going down. They're not really angling for much. Just wait. Tons of damage.
He's just gone.
Scout just blows him up. That bunny with a shotgun comes to hunt again and finds themselves some beef.
Can't find that much. Sheer still on a flank angle. Baron still going on down. Can they get into the back line to Scout, though? They get him! That's the angle onto the bunny. Should be able to blow him up. Goes golden for a second or two. The taunt should come out afterwards. Don't be able to press the W. Flashes away!
Scout, magnificent stasis, pays off the Seekers too, by the way. It's going to be hard to land that combo from this point. Sion shuts the door shut, and Care with no flash will give his life so his carries can escape, but JDG have really played against this combo much better into the late game. Seekers on Scout, Pays building up a Seekers too to make sure he's not the target, and FPX, they've run out of ammunition. They've not been able to land onto the backline, and JDG cleanly going through this late game.
I mean, what do you do at this point? Scout had a crap opening to this split. Had a crap playoffs, to be too honest about it. Today, on this Aurora, he's been magnificent. FPX, man down, gonna try and find the play. Jachi, Milky Way, trying to free fight.
Oh.
They blow up Milky Way there before he could press on too much. CC, good crash down in from Wing, who does get traded for it, but they've lost the Alistair. Sheer, Jachi, trying, but it's a 2v4. Shun's left low, but not down. The damage is still there between worlds. Winning! And Jachi's face is taken off his shoulders, decapitated by the killer bunny rabbit. No hand grenade to be found. JDG, 2-0.
JDG will go 2-2 in series, 2-0 on the day, and the re-debut for Milky Way is lacking a few stars.
Electronic beat as we prepare to load into game for our first time today again between these two squads. They've been a little bit more elegant there. Fortunately, I can stop talking for a second or two because the gyros need to ring out. As ever, IG chants are loud and proud. A solid response there from Weibo Gaming. Level 1 from Wei and Rookie, potentially looking on in. Breather's there, going to try and clear out that ward, and should do so.
Really want to see how Rookie does on this Oriana. He's had a long history on it. There was a time, actually, when he was playing on top esports where it felt like he was doing, and NIP as well, actually, where he was doing so much work individually on the Oriana, but it was really hard for him to get winning games on it, because it felt like he'd be doing well at kind of controlling one edge of the fight, but couldn't get the team to funnel into him and to get multi-man shockwaves. That's one of the biggest tales of Oriana, really, is, okay, can you get a shockwave onto multiple people, or is it just the one-man disengage? Because there's a very different style of gameplay if you're doing one or the other. When there's an Ambessa, when there's a Talia, it's quite hard to get the solo laners into your combo because they often open up another angle. Rookie will have to keep tabs on that.
Breathe eating a fair amount of damage in the early game. Full decimating smash angle, and now the Shy's walking forwards. I think Breathe needs to be a bit wary here if he can't get to level 2 on a good angle. Should be able to get it now, though, with his cooldowns back up, so less worried than I perhaps needed to be there. The grass proc comes on through. Repudiation second for the shield, but the Shy's got his own. Looking to get the proc on that Soul Furnace and does do so.
Level 2, level 3 Sion. Base damages of Sion are really nasty.
high, yeah.
Really nasty. Gets another Q in there too. It's not for wave clear. The Q2 will hit to even things up a little bit. Can't forsake the Ambassador as well. Tanking Grasp for Grasp, but he has the shield this time. Sion doesn't. You're not on the best angle this time. The Soul Furnace won't hit. So Breathe will actually survive that next round of cooldowns. Level 3 hit, but Breathe is pretty happy with that last bit of trade. And Bessa's early lane is not her specialty. She does well enough to soak up farm and XP, but realistically, you're just looking to get to that point, get your first back off, and then really once level 6 to level 11 hits, that's when you start to really play the game.
Do you have first item? Do you have your ultimate? Life is much better. Before that, you're kind of having to dance around the edges of the skill shots, and you've got the tools to do that.
Especially with Ambessa's cooldowns early game, all being about 10 seconds long, which is pretty long. I mean, a lot of top laners play around that, but Ambessa often wants to, use as many of those abilities as possible for those quick trades. One of the better things about Ambessa, by the way, is that when she starts to get skills off, her auto attacks, they will restore energy, but they're also longer range, which means that you get that slightly extra long range to start getting good trades. Jungle starting to fight.
Conqueror for Conqueror. Big chunk there from where we got the stun first. Can try and find the next cooldown to come on through. Lands another Comet Spear. Keeps himself stacking. Conqueror now stacked. Can get sped up there. Flash on forward with the W. Tien is just dead.
The Pantheon beats out the Xin Zhao. One of the reasons this pick is so highly picked and banned is that it even wins against the early game Exodia of the level 3 to level 4 Xin Zhao. Had a little bit of help from the Orianna this time, but it comes up tops. Way after getting obliterated against FPX in their 0-2 to them just the other day, ends up having a good bounce back here at the early levels at least.
Yeah, he got a bit blasted in that last series. It was not particularly pretty, but this time around looking pretty good. Reset not come on through yet from either top laners. Interestingly, actually, the Shy down about 10 CS. I'm assuming he's got a wave to collect, or some trades went poorly there, because it was looking relatively even until just now, so not quite sure what happened. Looks like there is a wave crashing, so theoretically should be able to clear up most of that, and I don't need to be too nervous. Nice spell shield there from Light to immune some of that knock-up. Now crashing in towards the Shy, who is not letting it fully crash towards this turret. Means Breathe could be a little overextended with Wade coming up. Needs to be a bit wary, does Breathe. Of course, there's enough rewards in that river to light up a Christmas tree, and we're in the wrong month for that, so it would be the easiest angle for the Pantheon regardless.
We were loading in with the Santa Braum in first game of the day. I was like, the Christmas bells are just a little too much. The sleigh bells are a little too much,
Also, why is Santa Braum like a Chippendale Santa? Like the shirtless, the guy is ripped.
What do you mean by Chippendale?
It's like the equivalent of Hooters, but with guys.
Oh, I thought you meant like Chip and Dale.
Oh no,
Disney.
no.
He's not a fucking chipmunk. What do you mean? It's like, let's go and get some presents.
Woohoo! Hang on, we got a bit of violence.
Do you mind if I smoke?
Now we're gonna have a little bit of a Disney bushblade. Tien's gonna be in danger. Oh no, the shield fall.
Oh, Tien's getting jumped on in the enemy jungle.
Says Tien as he runs into too many people face first and dies.
As he's sent back to the Mickey Mouse clubhouse, goes down for second kill of the game. Tien 0-2.
What are we doing?
Did someone mention the door to darkness? Oh, the Shy solo kill, barely missed out on by Breathe.
Why do you have the ultimate? They're going to jump onto Light, who may be one of the 7 princesses or something like that. But Kingdom Hearts reference are lacking. Unfortunately for their way, cannot find the way out of there. Mako will, however, be able to flash out to safety.
Yeah, Breathe narrowly missing out on a solo kill topside. Would have been fantastic to get the Ambassador ahead of the game. Does have that 10 CS lead. Gala switching up into that lane to catch that wave at Tara as IG doing really well to shut this Xin Zhao out of the play. If the Xin Zhao starts falling behind, this is terrible for Weibo, because what often happens when Xin Zhao falls behind is your temporary front line just gets popped immediately, because you pop your ultimate in worse positions than you normally would, because you have to pop it because you're getting burst out. Tien misses that ward, as does the pink ward too, because of the geometry of the rift. So Tien's even spotted heading towards bot side. He's having a torrid early game. And, Tien, who's often been regular season menace, very highly respected within the LPL, has been completely shut down. Right here, Mako walks over to help Wade try and get the steal off. This time, Wade does go too far.
He does a bit. They thought they had a good play, but Rookie's a little bit slower to come on over. Xiao, who gets the level 6 when come on, but he took the blast going in. Rookie did have the level 6, so I can understand why they were trying to get more out of that. Tien gets the Scuttle Crab, but now going to heal. He's going to be in a lot of danger here. Going to get jumped on potentially over the wall. Mako crashing on down with the Ferromantic Decimating Smash. Kill donated to Rookie.
Tien at 0 and 3.
Oh, guy.
On the Shinzao, the early game powerhouse has been an early game pinata instead.
He's 100% kill participation for Invictus Gaming.
Yeah, and 0% for his own, with the one kill which his team has. 100% death participation for his team, as he's the only player on Weibo to have died. I mean, Tien, we expect so much better. We expect so much better from this guy. You were meant to have winning early bot lane and mid lane in terms of push, even though, you know, you're meant to fall behind this. Yes.
No!
The Shy misses the cannon. We do track these things. We expect better, the Shy. But really, Tien, falling behind this far, playing with a Shinzao without any sort of pressure in the early game is worst case scenario for Weibo.
Well, started with an attempted contest in the river for Scuttle Crab, but the bot lane didn't move in time. He got run down the entire river and died. He then gets invaded by 2 people and thinks he's fine. He gets jumped out of his blue bush and dies. And he then turns back to life, thinks he's fine to get the Scuttle Crab, is not, and dies.
No. He's just walking up with a 0 support for him. 0 support. And, you know, Weibo, they've had a support change. Crisp coming into the roster, and I have to say Crisp has not impressed me so far on Weibo. That being said, I think when Hung was there before, I still think he was worse. I actually wonder whether they bring back Airher at this point. Just anything to redeem this jungle support synergy, because it's not there anymore.
The question then becomes, is it the support? Is it the support, or is there something else going on? If the system is wrong or the jungler is wrong, then something,
and that's the thing,
not named as support, might be the issue.
No, this is the thing. There's a whole bunch of things which can go wrong in mid-jungle, but the fact that it was going better for them and now it's gone back to square one in the split which qualifies you for Worlds is absolutely awful for Weibo.
Yeah.
This could be Weibo missing Worlds after being there in 23 and 24. They'd like to make it 3 on the trot, but I just don't see it happening.
It's going to be tricky. IG got themselves kill feats of strength, or mark of martial mastery. That's the one. All the while, of course, they've got themselves 2 of those objective markers as well, because they picked up 2 of the grubs, worth noting. TM with the rest of the squad now invading onto blue buff, but I think IG might want to come and fight this. It's a roundabout, they're going to back off.
No, you don't do it when you're a full level down on support. Maker's been roaming so much, whereas Crisp has been doing much more. Who's the guy? The Delight does a lot of this, just soaking XP. Crisp is a full level over Maker. And that means that you don't have the Magnet Storm. There is the Unbreakable Wall on the other side. The support difference in terms of levels is really huge for these kind of fights.
And the Shy here, down about 15-20 CS. Been the cleanest farming after the early level where he threatened Breathe. But again, the Ambassador not really going to be a true threat until the Eclipse comes on him. But is doing just fine here. And Breathe, I think, will need to deliver well in this game. After the start has kind of been a bit awkward. Only a couple hundred gold behind, it's worth noting. But the problem is, it's the little things on top of that. Things like the Grubs and the Dragon going down early. In a comp where you're the one with the Shinzao and the Talia, you realistically want to be kind of pushing the envelope a little bit. Whereas on the other side, you've got an Ori and a Kai'Sa. You kind of want an item or 2 in there before they're really scary.
If Weibo are going to mount a comeback in this game, and it would be at this point, despite the gold being fairly even, the Shinzao being behind early is so bad for Weibo. They are at a worse point in this game. I think a lot of that will have to come through Breathe getting great dives onto Rookie. Worth noting, though, as I've said, that Tien is actually still half a level up on Wei.
Farmed a lot, yeah.
Actually, Wei just got himself an extra camp first, and how do I XP just claimed it? Just one
Elastic rubber banding in jungle still, it's a thing.
Rubber banding, Tien still retaining a bit of a CS lead, but a XP lead rather. But Wei going through that full clear will still hit himself the level 8.
Well, indeed, yeah, but down about a third of a level or so. And again, jungle XP is weird, guys. Go talk to Jamada about it.
Yeah.
He rages alongside me on a regular basis about how jungle leads mean significantly less than they once did, because it's so easy, particularly in the early game, to just bounce back by doing a clear while someone else does an objective.
Yeah, and that's something which Shadow really good at, actually. Because, again, I'll say it again, I'm sure many of you heard this before because we talk about it too much. The most valuable thing a jungler has is time, and if you spend a long time taking an objective, which is most junglers in the game, which take a long time to do that, then you basically get, for the cost of a dragon, you give the enemy jungler a full clear, basically. They'll be, especially once it gets to the point where, you know, you are going towards level 6, level 9, whatever. they will full clear the jungle in the time it takes to kill that dragon, which means that they can bounce back half level, get ahead of you. You can even take your jungle as well at that point. Ooh. Jungle going topside from Wave.
Breeze needs to be really wary. Does throw up public execution, trying to dance away. Going to try and get some damage down regardless. Doesn't have much energy left. Forced the flash. The Shy in danger. Might trade his life for this. Really good dodging from Breeze.
Oh, Jesus. IG, that was just an out. You just go out as soon as Breathe immunes that stun.
No.
Wait, I don't think he can even kill with the skill shots coming back on the other side. The skills.
Magnet Storm under the turret, but it's Crisp tanking it with the Unbreakable Will. Xiaohu's also low, as Rookie's kind of here? How is he here? Is he being out?
The auto reset, can you get it in time?
Not quite.
Rookie will escape, go to the other side of the map, and I guess get some farming time as Breeze recalls, so Rookie will just go like, nope, I'm out. But IG, after such a good early game, have now given a kill over towards Tien. Way wastes time on top side as Breeze gets a kill himself, and IG, folks, not the cleanest team in existence, and Weibo pick up the pieces.
So the Shy didn't get CC from his ultimate. Breathe uses all of his abilities and does that Drake Hound Steppy thing, and then flashes, and then tanks the turret and dies regardless. Like, that was just bad.
Bad calculations, yeah. Breathe using that ultimate to go unstoppable to make sure that the Pantheon stun wasn't the end of them. Really well played from Breathe. He is one of our very best ambassadors within the league. Way back out onto the map after failing that top dive. Behind in gold, as a team, Weibo might look for a fight here.
They're going to try and turn the one. Crisp goes in. Remember, doesn't have the Unbreakable Will, so it's actually quite vulnerable here. I wonder whether Gala thinks about jumping onto that. Won't take it. The Shy steps on forward, body blocking. TP's now coming in, Dragon to half HP.
Half HP, where's the smite? Comes through from Way. Here comes the teleport. Breathe might look for that. With the ult's on cooldown, so we can't use that right now.
Oh, the Shy flashes the Seismic Shove and now caught in the back of the pit. I don't necessarily know whether that's where he wants to be. It was clearly a rapid flash. Tien gets knocked up. Does have the Crescent Guard to work with. No to pop it. IG looking to potentially play this. Rookie on a flank angle. People very, very low. Into the backline we go. As damage on the Breathe comes on down. Tien gets onto Mako. Shockwave comes on down. Does it get enough damage to Tien? Tries to the wind, becomes lightning across multiple people. Crisp flashes out. And I think Weibo only losing the one right now. But they've left their carries out to the Wolves.
Rookie getting jumped on by Xiaohu. The flick misses, but there's no help. Rookie in the 1v2 as Gala doesn't get close enough. There's a chase down onto Tien, who dies in his own jungle, and the fight keeps going.
Magnet Storm comes back up and alive, and Weibo are getting away with it. They should have lost this one, for sure. The Shy's going in, he wants into a wall.
I think as soon as they get behind that point, he's just like, look, I'm just not going to go in for the full part of it. He didn't want to hit that ult onto them, I think, at that point. I think he would have died at that HP. IG not judging where Weibo are going to retreat to well at all. I don't really think that Rookie understood where the follow-up was coming from on bot side. Maybe thought Gala could get there closer, but Gala had used the ult, didn't want to commit the flash. And IG are not playing well from this early game, given the lead that they had before this point. The top lane dive, this dragon fight's all messy. Now the Shy flashes and he can't get over the wall, so he's stuck in the pit now at this point. There's no way out for him, so Weibo think, okay, Breathes ult coming up in about, I think it's 10 seconds from about this point. Ignore the spectator thing at the bottom. He's about to get his ult. You think, okay, maybe he can get some play here. But they can't delay as long as they want, and Breathe doesn't actually get to survive to the point where he can get to his ult. So weirdly, it's the Zion in the pit, which ends up getting more value. He gets to retreat from that point. The split call is what kills IG here, because they end up chasing on towards Tien at the same time as going towards bot lane. They try and do too many things at once, and they end up seeing their house of cards fall down a little bit as Rookie gets engaged onto in the 1v2, and Chris managed to get a shunt back onto Mako.
Of course, doing that as Gala flashes to the other side nicely, then leaves him out of range to finish up anybody else as Chris gets his ultimate back at the end of the play. I don't even know where to start. That was so bizarre. But Alex, I've got to ask, what month is it? Is it May again? Did I just skip most of the year? Is it the 5th of May or in Cinco de Mayo? Because it's looking like a bloody fiesta out here.
Claro. Muy claro. That's all I can tell on that, really. Yeah, the mind is a enigma wrapped inside a conundrum, Sam.
Genius is what they say.
Yeah, that's one way to say it. Another one is you refer to a specialist. Like quoted a bit late as the intel. Cull has been popped by Gala, which means he's actually a little bit ahead in terms of gold, despite Light getting good plays before this. I mean, the Civ has not died, which is typically a very good thing in the early game. Gala clearing through, has that Q upgrade with the pickaxe on top of the Kraken Slayer. Gala loves to go towards Kraken Slayer and towards something like the Terminus a little bit later. You can go towards Rageblade or that build too. Don't always have to go to the Rageblade in that build, but Gala really likes going towards the AD on-hit variant of the Kai'Sa as opposed to something with the Nash's Tooth going towards a bit more AP or even like the higher crit builds that we sometimes see out of that Kai'Sa. Herald alive, IG. getting some vision control around there. Weibo still pushing at mid lane, though. Of course, with Sivir and Kai'Sa, you just kind of ping-pong waves for forever. Rookie trying to get a bit of a chunk onto Breathe, but he runs out of range. Going towards second item looks to be that Shojin with that tunnel locked in, so it's not going to be something like the Black Cleaver, which we sometimes do see onto the Sion matchups.
Okay, there comes the knock-up, and he's headbutted back out. Way in danger, throws down the Aegis Assault. Just manage to flash on out the seismic shove. Weibo now a little deep. They end up blowing, what, flash for flash? Ult from Crisp as well.
Yeah, I think that's just too far from Crisp. I suppose Weibo thought, well, Gull's on a reset. He wants to get himself back in. He does have himself Pickaxe and that recurve bow, which is nice components. Gives him that extra attack speed to get closer towards that E upgrade too. Herald started. Weibo instead forced onto mid lane turret instead.
Yeah, they do get the TP out of the Shy, but I think at this point he's going to be able to clear out this wave. No, not quite actually. So Weibo Gaming, in the end of it, do actually get the turret as well here. So a couple summoners traded for a couple summoners, and it ends up being Herald for turret.
And credit to Weibo. I mean, it is the flow chart decision making. A Herald gives you a turret sometime in the future. Taking a turret while Herald goes down is giving you the turret now. So it still gives you a lot of what that Herald can provide later on. They get that mid lane out of turret. Very important you have stuff like Ambassador who wants to get flanks around mid lane. You have that Talia as well to throw that wall out from your jungle into the mid lane, which you can't defend because the mid lane outer turret is down. Dragon's up in 20 seconds. Weibo had the vision control. IG do have the 2 dragons stacked before this, so they can let one go, I suppose. It's not like they're threatening an early soul point. They'd like to get that 3rd dragon, of course, but I don't think they're forced to.
Dragon would be soul point for IG. There comes that top click execution on the rookies. Caught under the turret. Oh, that's ugly. Flashing away. In comes the Grand Starfall. Breathe now might be a little bit in danger. He's got no energy, no cooldown, and Gala's got an ultimate.
Kai'Sa on side lanes, Pantheon on side lanes, the Talia's on the other side of the map. Breed thought he could get a quick kill and out, but realistically should have just ended that play after the flash was gone. Chased too far, didn't understand the globals were there, and Breed's Ambassador, yes, has been powerful in the past, but that's just a macro misjudgment.
Like, it looks individually like a great moment. You get Rookie to take 3 tower shots, you get him caught under the turret, you get a full combo off, he's forced to flash, his shockwave doesn't do all of it. It's like all the things there say this is a great play. And then there is ultimates to track.
Yeah.
And as you were saying, it is just a macro misjudge. There's no other way to put it. And punished rightly for it, and Rookie gets away with it. Here is the replay. Herald was dropped mid. Gala just immediately supercharges up the river.
Yeah, pushes that down. Brute forces prio. The Herald keeps the save in mid. It doesn't take the turret. Gets a good chunk out there, but it's not, the full tower. It's a bit sad for IG. They do reclaim the gold advantage just a little bit.
They lose the dragon for that play top side as well.
They do. So they lose the dragon, but they get top turret. They get the kill. I mean, IG aren't unhappy with that, especially getting Kai'Sa some kill participation. Definitely a champion which Gala can do miraculous things on. Gala, one of the best Kaisers
the Prince of Pentas himself.
Yeah, the Prince of Pentas. Back in 2023. No, it was 2023 when he was playing then. Picked it for the first time in spring, and someone got a Pentium both of his first games in each place. Ridiculous, and I somehow ended up casting both of them. It was not saying it's all because of me, folks. I'm not saying that, maybe I am. Unless. Started, the Intercarn angle started up again. Weibo, they have some flashes, they got some ults. Let's see if they can use them well.
6k. TP in from Breathe. Wall comes across, splits the team down 1,000 HP. Should still be secured there by Wade as well to get the Comet Spear secure. Turning around, on the backside, onto Light. Passive auto, gets the kill. They've blown up that Sivir. The Soul Furnace getting it in the end. Wade gets another onto the Alistar. Rookie trying to run away. Doesn't have the flash this time, but the CC is there. Breathe in the 1v3. Gets nothing. Command attacks, Dissonance. Shakes Breathe to his core.
Dive, dive, dive. The Gala Kai'Sa goes right into the backline and starts to pick up some huge damage. And Weibo, yeah, they are sunk by that dive bomber. All hands abandon ship. They lose the Atacant. They lose the fight in IG. Despite some, creative misplays earlier. And, end up getting really stabilized in the game through that objective. They don't lose the big fight around the Atacant. We've seen a lot of teams lose big fights around that. Gala now left alone on the side lane. Be able to pick up this outer turret. The second out of the outer ring.
It is... Turret goes down. IG now feeling pretty secure in this game state with the Atacant, with the early leads now in for this kite for the rest of us. We'll look at the free play again because now they can't flip, but Wave feels pretty secure as they don't actually get the jungler. He went really near this. Did Crisp have Smite in inventory? No, he didn't.
No, he didn't. Shockwave lands onto, that's a really good shockwave from Rookie. Activates the plasma onto him. That's where he gets it from. I was wondering where is it W3 that? No, it's the shockwave. Because I was watching what was happening with Breathe, and Breathe does eventually end up into the backline, but it's just a little too late, and it's 1v3. It's really hard to do that. Yeah, late game you can end up making miracles happen. Ult's on picture-in-picture. Not going to be able to finish off that fight, though. Sion ult, Pantheon ult, not finding their targets.
No, they're not. Minute and a half till drag. Too much to be found elsewhere.
Weibo now behind significantly in goal. IG had let go of that gold lead a little bit earlier, but it felt like it was still good for IG because it was the early game Shinzao that was behind. Now at 1-4, huge advantage towards Wei on the Pantheon. And as we mentioned earlier into the game, last series IG had 0-2'd by FunPlus Phoenix. And that was with IE playing jungle as well, and not even Milky Way coming in. So, oh, that's weird, isn't it? You know, IE beating IG, subbing in Milky Way, losing their series versus JDG. Questions upon questions. But Wei was demolished in the game 1 of that series. It was genuinely looking really, really poor for him. The fact that he's having a much better game, 4-1-3, massively outplaying his direct opponent, is a good look for him, and hopefully a bit of a bounce back, a much needed bounce back for him.
So,
hello, Solly.
hello, Solly. Good to see you on in here. Welcome back, Jay, as well, and congratulations for being home with Maya. Always nice to celebrate good news with the viewers. 45 seconds until Dragon spawns. Have some good viewing experiences for getting to sit back down at home.
That's a Rylo's Talia lore. Talia does go Rylo's most commonly nowadays. We're kind of out of the meta where Leandri's was the most common second buy onto Talia. The clean fee is just for storing a little bit. We shall see it reload up sooner rather than later. We're
still here, I promise.
Yeah, we are still here, and we'll get back to that. Let me just see if I can restart it ourselves, actually. Hopefully that'll work out a little bit. Clean feed just dying on their side. It'll come back soon, hopefully.
I'm waiting for the audio. That tends to be the precursor to the video still loading.
Down for a little while this time. Normally comes back within a few seconds.
Yeah. Oh, I can hear the audio. There we go. We're back.
back.
And yes, Jay, I did indeed mention Maya. Nice to mention that one all the while. You can see IG on that dragon. And the game now returning.
Light on 2.5 items is the win condition, I think, for Weibo.
Yes.
He gets towards 3. Infinity Edge. Not going the anti-tank build. No Lord Omic's regards. Needs to ricochet through to
fire.
Flicker Blades.
Oh, with the Zeal goes into Flicker Blades, of course it does. I forget that.
Yeah.
I'm so used to Zeal just being PD or rapid fire.
No,
I know.
It also goes into Hurricane too.
That's true, but who built Hurricane?
Blue built, hang on a second, hiding the ball on the wall there. The Shy, very strong front line. Noting that no Black Cleaver, no Lord Omic's regards. They don't do damage to the Sion. Sion can walk up very aggressively, especially with Orianna shields.
They do. Soul point for IG, of course, to kind of lose that happening during the clean feed stutter.
Fencing over the mid lane wave again. We're dragging up for a little while. Baron's up and available, but taking Baron on spawn is... Yeah, they buffed up Baron a lot. Taking on spawn, even at 25 minutes, still a little bit daunting. Say, I do sort of miss the 20-minute Baron meta a little bit, because it did mean that games were very, very fast and decisive a lot of times. It did feel like it was quite hard to mount comebacks, but with AP junglers taking Baron on spawn, it was at least much more fast and kind of like high-risk League of Legends. Good ward over the wall there. Spots out IG trying to play around a pocket of vision, which they don't actually have. And Sivir happily gets to farm away. So I'm Weibo. I guess objective secured there, which is farm for Sivir. That can be a win condition in and of itself. Tien at 2 items, but way close towards the GA, actually. Skipping going towards the boots completion as is Tien. They want the full items instead. And Wei, yeah, only about, I think it's about 600 gold. Hang on, Shockwave brings back Chris. The ult's late, so he still takes the full damage from the Shockwave. Down to about a 3rd HP. Gala not ready to follow because he's just gone back to base. He's completed his Nash 2-3. He is going towards that AP. We talked about the Terminus build earlier, but instead going towards the W upgrade. Maybe thinking that the game's getting a little bit long and stalematey. AP Kai'Sa with the W upgrade does get a lot of extra value from the stalemate, as yes, observers, you zoom in on that cannon that was missed by Rookie.
3rd item in for the Kai'Sa at the very least. That might, you know, allow Rookie to spare the blushes. You know, he's got his Kai'Sa there to carry where he clearly can't find the farm. Obviously, what a disaster. Mako crash downs over the wall, not crash out.
Oh, that's say that for another day. You say that until after the loss. That's when you crash out.
Exactly. Ferromancy, crash down.
Fermenti, crash out. It's like,
Boom.
oh my god, everything's going wrong. Why do people treat me like this?
It's just like a high noon rel in a bar.
The thing is though, like, I typically shouldn't have to do that because Rel's meant to be 16.
She's 37
Which is
now.
stupid. I cannot believe they retconned like a 16-year-old to be like in their 30s. Like, the voice lines just don't fit. The voice was not, the voiceover was not recorded for like a 30-year-old. It was, you know, meant to be an angsty teenager. I really hate.
I don't actually know what Rel sounds like, so I actually have no insight on that.
I'm the happiest girl in the world. Wee. That's one of the emotes.
I mean, I know 30-year-olds like that.
No, Sam, it's the voice delivery because like the voice actor obviously was told this is an angsty teenager, voice them like an angsty teenager, not an adult. You know.
Fair.
Turns out that teenagers and adults tend to have slightly different voices. You know.
I sound just as youthful as I did only say 4 years ago.
Sure. Not necessarily remember, honestly. I mean, we'll have recordings because we started casting back then. So
That's true. To be fair, in fairness, the recording of our first cast, I was.
Oh, they were
not
quite bad
fantastic.
actually. I think
It was a bit of growing done to them.
LGL Spring Week 2 2020 was really bad.
Yeah, it
It
was.
was really bad. Voice acting with Alex, I don't know how to do our voice acting. I don't know how to do a random Baron fight either. That's why we watch teams which are much better than us play this out.
In a river,
you can have the Rage Blade really raking down the Baron there, going low.
Going down at 3k HP. Nice attempt at the steal, can't quite do it. 19 at the backside in danger. Grab and crash down comes on through. The Crescent Guard buys a bit of time at TM, but he's now in so much danger. Over they go. Way gets it. May get traded. Got a GA to work with, so even if he falls here, it's really not the end of the world. The Guardian Angel is procced. But they've got that inked on the shoulder. Into the back line goes Gala. Flies on forward with the Killer Instinct. Gets another passive proc. Flashes with the W. Shockwave pulls them back into the loving arms of Gala for a triple kill.
It's the Gala classic. If you don't start the fight by killing Gala, he will end it. He is the master at holding Kai'Sa ult until about halfway through the fight to find a way to reposition himself into the backline after Rage Blade and Lethal Tempo are stacked up. If you want to learn how to play Kai'Sa in team fights, watch this man on your screen. He just had a magnificent one.
Is there a better Kai'Sa player historically in the world? Maybe one or two can compete, but Gala has to be up there. And those who have to compete against him are up against some of the sternest competition going. If I look at this Baron, because it did come down to a flip.
It did come down to a flip, but Gala is still fully stacked up on the Rage Blade. Starts to stack up on the Lethal Tempo here now. You can see that Chris wants to flash in to stop Gala maybe ulting in and just delay the backline. Doesn't really achieve anything, and Gala, all he ends up doing is fully stacking the Lethal Tempo. He has ult, has himself the W tag onto Light, and is so good at just pinging people halfway through the fight and getting that plasma. Has red buff, has fully stacked everything. Dissonance, Shockwave to bring Xiaohu back. And Gala kills his old MSI winning mid laner. Won two of them with Xiaohu. One in top lane, one in mid lane. Gala and him made a bit of a dynasty over on RNG.
Even got that very nice Void Seeker flash combo in there to cancel out the W, getting range for the Q afterwards. Just very well played, all things said and done. Now up about 8,000 gold, nearly 9. They just keep shoving on forwards, barreling their way to more structural damage.
No, they're definitely landing. Yeah, there's that too, I think, for Weibo. IG really demolishing Shockwave.
That's
whiff.
emotional damage.
That one's a little bit, but I don't think it's actually going to matter. Chris, you have an ultimate. I just don't think it's going to be enough.
Decimating Smash afterwards gets himself knocked up. The stakes are high, and that's a pun, folks. All the while in the backside, Way will go forward with the shield vault. Lands the Comet Spear as well. Tien in danger. Goes down. Public execution. Unfortunately, the guillotine is falling on the heads of Weibo Gaming, who are, way bowing out of this one.
Apparently where there's a will, there's a Weibo, but there's no will here, and there's no Nexus either. IG will take game 1 of the series after losing 0-2 to FPX in the game before. This is a nice bounce back. Invictus Gaming, 1-0 up in the series.
They get the first shot to the head, but it's in the name. You got to Weibo double tap them and get that down and ensure
the Markel and the Yone can flip back. I think if IG can hold their ground a little more, play a little bit more for the Aurora, we'll hit those Gyos. I think Weibo might have a bit of struggle getting aggressive combos themselves, which is what I assumed you said, and I think you said the opposite, so my bad.
That's absolutely fine. Crowd's yelling. Nice loud crowd today. I do wonder here, because of course Weibo, great scaling in some ways. You've got a Victor and a Gwen. That's good. You were a little light on AD damage, but if the Callista and Vi can get to at least a decent breakpoint, they'll be all right. They get a good mid-game spike there, but hey, you've got Callista, Renata, Vi. course, you expect that. The problem is, as the game goes on, you are still into Xayah, Yone, Aurora. The current build on the Maokai as well tends to be double AP items, so it gets a lot of damage as things go on, relatively speaking. Just lots of burn damage on that. No one's realistically building full tank to manage Maokai saplings, so it could get really dicey here as things go on. And look, Weibo, you've got to deal with Rakan coming at you, and Yone coming at you, and Maokai theoretically coming at you, or throwing out Nature's Grasps at you, and between worlds, like, you don't go forwards that well. You hold your ground okay, but holding your ground okay against all of those tools coming in, realistically, if they're playing it well from 3-4 different angles, I don't know how easy that's going to be. I'm not sure now on Weibo's draft, with that first pick Vi kind of mutating into an awkward draft, really.
Exactly. I think Weibo need to have a winning side lane to stop IG having an Aurora on the flank or a Yone on the flank or a Rakan on the flank. Level 1 in bot lane going quite nicely. Heal goes both popped for the heal of Crisp.
We should get the level 2 here on the next minion. That was the threat that they were formulating. And thus to Invictus Gaming back away.
Kalista Renato expects to take over the early lane. Basically, Kalista Renato prize dropped to 0. The only team really playing is top esports, actually. Jackie Love and Hung playing it. Of course, it was Jackie Love and Crisp. Crisp was playing on that last time. Shy gets himself the Electrocute, procs that passive, does that percent HP damage because, of course, Aurora has percent HP damage for reasons which are beyond me. Shy, good at the laning phase on the Aurora on the whole. Managing to get some really harsh trades in. Can try and stop Breathe from farming. Misses that E. Get the first stack of the passive. And we'll get the full passive reactivation with that Q as well. Scorch comes in and Breathe. Yeah, hits that level 3. Gets a snip down. Gets the grasp in too. But the Shy is just going to keep bullying this out. And Breathe is not going to be very happy with that. This was the worry about, okay, you know the Aurora's there. You obviously know it can be flexed towards top lane because you banned out mid laners instead of top laners. So why would you pick the Gwen into that? There are questions about it. That can be very, very sad for them. Level 3 hits Gala as he pulls the feathers back. Mako out of XP range, though, and Kalista Renata doing their job in the early lane, getting some resources away from the Zyra.
Value there. Fight over that Scuttle Crab. Was one there, by the way. Now gets a turn around. He's got himself a little bit of a speed trying to work with. Phase Rush comes in, lands another Bramble Splash, and walks into the sapling as well. Oh, yeah, that's rough.
Yeah, Vi doesn't like playing into Maokai anymore, especially... Oh, there's some really awkward stuff too, where if Vi ever starts charging Q, you can just buff a W on her as well, out of range.
Ghost pop. The Shy may need to flash here. Does so.
The Shy going a little too aggressive in top side. Another wave is much better for Breathe. I mean, Breathe got the teleport back in, used those items to run at him at full HP, and the Shy probably should have found a reset just before that, loses the flash for not doing so. I suppose it's summoner for summoner, but the Ghost lower cooldown benefits the Gwen.
Shout out to Breathe there. Really used the Hallowed Mistfall to get the snip while the Shy could not return the favor. And then ended up running it down. Towards bot lane we go, though! Light gonna flash cleanse away. Does so. Crisp a little bit split off. Doesn't have the Bailout on top of him quite yet. Summon is blown from Light, but it's still gonna have to be a reset coming on in from Mako and Gala. Tien potentially looking for a Gromp play here. Won't get by that Bramble Splash. Sticking around. Here we go.
Yeah, Gala's sticking around. Not the plans. Can they get the route through? No, not quite.
I'm still going to go forwards. Handshook back. Wave flashes out to safety. Mako will battle dance out. It's messy down here. Mako gets pulled back with that rend. Light takes a turret shot, though.
That turret shot makes things much worse. And Crisp is actually out of mana to use something like the Bailout and the Loyalty Program or something like that. The bonus is Tien gets to stick around on the Gromp. I don't really think he can stick around for the whole steal. So despite the fact that the Kalista Renata lane prior ends up giving the initial angle, they don't capitalize well. What it has still meant is a 10 CS lead. It has meant that Gala and Mako have lost XP. Actually not as much. Gala's end up being okay, but they've lost the CS and the gold itself. They clear up the wave now, and it will go back more towards even. But this should have been a slam dunk. This is where Kalista made her name in pro play, really, back again in 2022 and afterwards. You get that level 2, level 3 shove, your jungler comes down for a 3v3, and you do one of a couple of things. You either zone the bot lane off of tower, you dive them under turret, or you go into the enemy jungle and steal camps away. They try and do a little bit of all three, and achieve very few of any of them. Level 6.
Because level 6 comes on the other side, tries to find the angle into the across the Veil, but a well-placed W! The Hull of Mist does work. Can the Shy find any more damage? Gonna get snipped down! The level 6 difference means nothing as Breathe gets the solo.
The Shy misses the Q, and that leads to him failing his solo kill. Waits for his spells to come back up midway through that ultimate, but misses the point-blank Q, even though he got inside that W and can't finish it off. Good kill there for Breathe, who's turning around what should be a losing matchup.
The flash in the first one wins up against that attempted level 6 discrepancy in the second. Good stuff there from Breathe.
The Shy should have really walked away with that. He's got, I mean, you know the Shy will always go for the solo killer attempt. There are many things which the Shy is, but first and foremost, it's the opposite. His name's Bold. Boldness. There was that one clip where you called him Bold with his pentacle.
Yeah,
it's
the
very
Bold,
cool.
yeah.
It's very funny how it could be Bald.
The Bald.
The Bald. He has no hair. Because you watch right here, gets the level 6 off of the Q pullback, goes through the ult here, and Breathe does put down the W. You watch right here, and he misses the Q. The W placement actually doesn't matter in regards to the actual reduction to skill
Here it
shot.
does. It misses the W, means he can't hit the E.
He does hit it. It's just not enough damage. Only the rank 1 E just doesn't do enough.
Yeah, I thought he was outside of the weirding on that E, so he, or right outside of the Halo Mist on that E, so he didn't get the value there. But either way, doesn't get it. Maybe I got baited by the grass proc. Either way, well, it was auto then E when he was out of range, but still, nice play there from Breathe. Ends up getting something. Rookie, gonna jump on forwards. The Arcane Storm comes on down. Q3 comes away. Crisp has roamed mid.
And Xiaohu at least farming up well against the Yone. Rookie's Yone has had a bit of a patchy history, occasionally solo carried on it.
And occasionally
not. I actually remember his Yone best, sadly for him, over on his days on Top Esports, where it felt like he, you know, had a team which could make Worlds, still had Tien on that roster, had Jaculov. Trying to remember what their full... They had Wayward on that roster, and he really struggled, sadly, for him. But his Yone didn't quite do enough. Potential fight with level 6. Where's that ult going? Don't really want to throw it onto the Zai, who can ult it back.
Started the Shy going between worlds, hops away as the needlework comes on through, so ult for ult.
Yeah, the Shy getting bullied around a little bit more. The fact that Breeze can force the Aurora back and not drop farm is a problem. We called out the Shy being quite good on this laning phase pick in the past. Bit of a problem now. It's gone towards the Merc Treads first. You know there are actually some builds where you go like tank Gwen, and you just have so much base damage, you can just run down carries like this.
Great.
Just with the Merc Treads, look at the damage.
And great Halo misplacement again. Finally gets a bit of a turnaround at the back end of it. Breathe is playing out this phase really, really well. Earns the flash, earns the solo kill. The Shy had managed to get a 10 CS lead despite the early fumble with the flash and has lost it all again. This is great news for the Gwen, who these days is once again much more about the scaling than the early pressure.
And maybe this just showcases why they didn't ban out, well, why they picked the Gwen into the Aurora. Typically, this should be counter matchup. Should be. And we see how well the Shy was doing early on, but missing that solo kill opportunity, big mistake, as, yeah, no, Breathe just outplayed, and the Shy couldn't hit skill shots at the right moments. Breathe now at the point where he's, you know, he's got Fiendish Codex, he's got himself the Merc Treads. Fiendish Codex is really, really important. And second, Chris find the ult onto Gala.
Hostile takeover, but Gala buffers through it quite well by pressing the Q, so he's not auto-attacking his enemy with that. Kind of smart, actually.
You know what? Hang on, ult onto Xiaohu, forces the flash away. I hadn't even considered the Xayah Q through that. That's a really nice pickup. I just hadn't considered that. Basically, yeah, it's spotted like when Mordekaiser or Aatrox, when they're about to be CC'd, they just tap Q because their animations are fairly long. It means that, you know, if it takes a quarter of a second, you are CC'd for a quarter of a second less than you should be. And the same here for the Xayah.
Still doing something valuable.
Yeah, exactly. And this is a skill which many people have picked up over time where you think, look, I'm going to get CC'd. May as well cast something, so I'm doing something useful. Make a spot on the sweeper.
I'm going to jump over the wall. Charm comes on down, punted back, and is likely going to die here. Nature's Grasp is there. Mako low because the battle lands, but he's inside that gravity field. Unfortunately, no way to follow up on that, and IG just pick up the kill and get the dragon.
Tien spots them over the wall, has the flash, can't get out though, and without the hostile takeover creating that fog of no-go zone, Weibo can't really secure a good fight, and the Vi... This isn't even the worst case scenario fight for the Vi, where they dive in and then all the counter engage comes through from the likes of the Maokai and the Xayah. This is just them out of position, and that was bad enough already. This should have been a play which Weibo would have been happy to take. They were the ones walking forth into the river. Tien not having a good series, honestly.
Not so far. Managed to recover well enough last game, but the early start at 0-3 was rough on the Xin Zhao. Now Breeze has had his Hallowed Mist turn off, has got potentially some needlework to work with, but has to deal with being between worlds right now. Throws out a few more needles, is speeding away with the Ghost, but just can't get far enough away as the W comes on through after the flash, and the last order comes on through, and the Shy picks up that kill.
So the 1v1 not going as well for the Shy, but then someone else comes up and Way makes their mark. Coming over from BLG in the last split, a bit of an inglorious exit from
They want this.
that all-star team. Way doesn't have ult. I don't think they do want it anymore because they're just a little too low HP on the front line of the Maokai. 3 Grubs over to the side of Weibo most likely as the third one.
Yeah.
Still have Smite. Way will have to head back. Doesn't have that ultimate. IG will have to give that one up, which is a little sad, but I suppose the Aurora can wave clear one lane well. It's not like there's a great tower hitter from the side of Weibo. Handshake not going to cancel the grand entrance.
There was something quite amusing about the Renata handshake animation. Tien's gone over the wall?
No, this is... Yeah, that's less good. Maybe they think that the Kalista Renata are in the tri-brush behind them, but the... Well, no, Kalista's on the wave. Trying to volley out around this. They don't have the Vial right now. Markel's just come back up. Guys, what are you doing
And
here?
there's the quickness, and they lose the Smite fight anyway. Nature's Grasp coming across onto 2. Gonna try and find some value. Can't quite get that much. TP's flying everywhere. Watch the Shy on the flank. Could look for a massive between worlds. Arcane Storm down. Rookie not gonna go for the angle. Tries to go for the weirding. Fate's call over the wall. Weibo really wanted that.
I mean, Weibo, maybe the call was, we have Renata ult, we can play through the choke points. Maybe that's the answer, but they think we can answer that. But no, Rookie, the Shy, they're still around the area. Mako Quartz.
Hostile takeover, not going to be used quite yet now. And 4G Crisp is in danger because Rookie got beyond it. So much damage going on forwards. Flash is blown. They lose a bit of the wave topside, but IG punished relatively well.
Well, all this is happening. Gala, solo farming mid lane, taking plates from that turret. It's not like Weibo are taking plates anywhere else. Breathe is not on the bot lane turret. So Gala happily taking up farm where Weibo, I mean, what do you call it? Imprecision, miscalculation, decision-making paralysis? I don't know. It's just feels like they are trying to play around the Renata ultimate and these couple of big ultimates, but they're not really committing to it even then. Tien being in such a prickly position on the Vi is really hurting them, I think.
I'm not sure how many plates Light got topside and how many were taken by Breathe earlier. That's down 2 plates, but did get the wave crash there at the very least. So at least I think Light got a little bit of value there, but I couldn't tell you how much because the screen wasn't really on the Kalista at the time.
IG. A little bit behind in gold, but I don't think they're, unhappy with the minor gold lead when it is against that Kalista Renata. Like getting a decent chunk out of Rookie there. Yeah, used his teleport earlier, so can't use that to get back into lane to get on his Krugs. Mako does have his ult coming up in 10 seconds. Not up right now. Wait, can he spider it? Yes. Yes, he can.
It's very difficult to outsmite a Maokai who presses Q smite and tends to do more damage than you expect. Rookie getting Mako to come TP up on him. Just get the knock up there onto lane. Into the knock up from the Mortal Steel part 3. The Stealening.
It's like Sharknado. Sharknado 2, the second one. Sharknado 3, oh hell no.
Yeah, what was Sharknado 4?
It was another I think it was the Fourth Awakens. Because that was around when the new Star Wars trilogy came out. That was pretty good. But you know what? I kind of miss the brutal magic of the first film, which was just unintended to be that bad. Breathe walking forwards.
Weirding comes on down. This one might be a bit of a Sharknado for the Shy as he's going to be dealing with all the snizzer snips. Gonna be fine.
Just about. Yeah, Q pullback not gonna come through that. Shy, yeah, getting bullied around by Breathe. I do think Breathe has been the highlight of this roster for the last little while. I know when he came in, a lot of people were like, well, Breathe's kind of in-sync, not playing well. I think ever since, when do I want to call it? Ever since 24 summer playoffs, I think Breathe has been spectacular. You know, when he went through to those finals against BLG, I was like, punch my keyboard. That's a different. Why would you do that? Sam, I found a new rival. I've been jealous of your rival with the microphone. I thought I need it with another bit of my peripherals. But ever since those finals in 24 summer, where he actually, I would say, was better than Breathe, better than Bin for a bunch of those finals. I mean, hell, I was fortunate enough to cast those finals too on the LPL official channel before it met its untimely demise. Yeah, he's been really impactful at the worlds they've run through as well. Rookie trying to save this turret from going down to the 3 Grubs away, but not exactly sure they can, but Rookie with ult does provide some decent lockup. This is that Q3. He loses the E though.
This turret's still standing. The gold remains even enough. Shy getting a shove down bot side. Breathe actually has played out this lane very, very well. That will be the turret falling. Took a little bit of doing. Weibo had to wrestle for it, but do claim first turret in this game. Way now bot side will be traded by IG to make sure at least the structures are even, but that mark towards feats of strength is Weibo's to work with.
Yeah, first 3 kills hasn't come up just yet. First 3 objectives hasn't come up yet. Weibo will go to 2 and 2, and I mean that the next dragon or the Atakan would be the 3rd mark on that. IG was close towards the 3 kills as well. One thing which I'd like to highlight, a couple things about the Kalista. Does get the first turret, but not that far ahead in golden compared to the Xayah. He's actually managed to keep up very, very well. Ahead in gold, even, because they cashed in that cull. Herald's going to go in towards mid lane, and this will kill the full turret. Here we go. Local gold goes towards the Renata and towards...
Hang on, the
Victor goes pop by Gala.
Yeah, really want to punish because Nature's Grasp from the other side of the backhand goes Mega Flash over the wall. Fate's call now coming on down. The hostile takeoff is also pretty solid. The counter engage on the way is brutal, bringing down that redemption too little too late. And Weibo disengage and punish.
Wei and Mako should not have gone that deep. You see that your Xayah is in the gravity field. They're not going to be able to pull that through. The Renata ult saves the Renata, not the Renata, the Kalista ult saves the Renata, who is one of the initial targets of that engage. So IG can't find the targets they want, and that's a bit of a misplay there. Not even a bit of one. Ends up throwing some decent gold over the side of Weibo, which is completely unnecessary.
You see that replay there, because it looked like potentially they managed to get a decent pick. They had some good angles, but there was no Aurora, and they just can't get the damage down.
The handshake into the grab field changes things here, because the Xayah can't follow up. If they're walking over there, have flash, have ult, yeah, you get the feather pull back in. I think they basically realized, look, there's no point us throwing in the Yone ult at that point. They still have a lot kind of to go left in terms of basic abilities. Let's not risk it. Gala, yeah, getting caught by that handshake. Bit unfortunate. There's not much you can do about it, right? It's
Flash it, I guess.
Yeah, but then it's quite hard to react. It's actually a weird one to flash at. Yeah, Blade Yone kind of hurts. Worth noting, by the way, this is the kind of game where you shouldn't go Blade on Yone. I've been watching a couple of Yone mains video content on the champion. There are a couple of really, really good builds on them right now. Kraken Slayer, very good first item for one. Yuntal is the best first item on Yone right now, if you can ever back for that 1300 gold. And Blade, despite its buffs, is not as good on Yone, even with the buffs through it, unless you're against both tank, jungle, and top lane. Really, right here, there's actually no full tank on Weibo at all.
HP stacker on the Victor, I guess.
No, it's not really the same, really. But you really want to go towards that crit as early as possible. Or something like that Kraken Slayer. Right here, Rookie's still making the most out of it. But yeah, go watch Tempest. Very good Yone player, who's been pioneering Yuntal, i.e. Zeke's for that tank item third, which is really, really nice. Gives you a ton of power going in towards that mid and late game.
Eyes on it. Be curious to see what the numbers are. Ow, Gala ate a lot of damage there. Got the auto-rend, auto-pierce combo off. Owie.
Gives you the multi-rend combo onto that. So Gala. Yeah, ahead in gold compared to the Kalista, which is good. And also worth noting again that Kalista has not had the early objectives. That is typically the mark of a good Kalista game. You have lost both the early dragons. Yes, you did end up getting the Herald and the Grubs, but losing those dragons as a Kalista is not great for your win conditions, which is typically around stack dragons, stack all the early objectives on both sides of the map. Actually, you move around like a wrecking ball, and then you get yourself early objective-based win conditions before your power spike starts to fall off a little later into the game. Gala's second item has those, has the Yuntal's wild arrows, and then also the flicker blades as well. Powerful 2 items. Spike can go towards the Infinity Edge third and feel very, very happy about things. I'm glad that chat is still talking about Sharknado, by the way. I'm glad about that.
So fun fact about Sharknado. In the first Sharknado, they have like stock footage, and I mean actual stock footage of various storms and typhoons stuff coming in. One of the bits of stock footage is not even from LA, it's from Yokohama, because I know the sign, I know which park it is. It was near me.
It's like quite clearly this sign is written in Japanese. This is not California. This ain't LA. Yeah, and then also there's a point where someone's in like a swimming pool and they get attacked by a shark, and there's quite clearly a shark stock footage of them just in like the deep oceans. Like, this is not a 3-meter deep swimming pool. This is quite clearly the Pacific. I don't know where you got this footage, but it ain't from LA. I love that just raw, what the hell are you doing energy from that. As Rookie goes back for one last Q. His E usage for those quick snapbacks. Yone E is the most important skill in his kit by far, even with the inability now to completely shrug off CC. Gives you that ability to, I guess, still iframe it a little bit, take the CC back to your initial location and move back to safety. Going towards what looks like that shield bow second item, which of course can be very, very powerful. Dragon spawning now. Yone teleporting from top lane down towards the bot side. And Weibo, they're the ones which are going to have to retake the pit into the Maokai.
Easier said than done. Saplings beginning to get tossed. Mako on a potential flank angle. Rookie gets the knock up onto TN. Decent chunk onto him, but in the backline is Breed. Could potentially come on from that flank angle. Dragon being taken low, but not quite taken out till just now. Mako is not going to screw because it's Way with that smite. All the way to the backline. Way doing his best to get on out. Does do so. The Aurora has fallen to the Callista. I think in the end it is a 1-for-none in favor of Weibo Gaming, but sole point secured by IG.
IG do a really bad job of holding the choke points. They want to finish the dragon first, but they can't quite do that. They do get the dragon, though, and that will set them up for sole point. I don't think it's the actual best objective setup I've seen
Breed
from
got into the
them.
back of that pit somehow.
Yeah, Breed got into the back of the pit. There was a Chaos Storm on both the carries as well. This was actually not a bad fight from Weibo, despite them losing the objective. Great angle for Breed. He's been doing well in the individual matchup. Start stacking up with the ult for that second and third cast. Yes, the Aurora dunks onto the backline, but the Renata ult is good with no cleanse. The Needlework goes crazy, and the Chaos Storm is still ticking too. It's genuinely not a bad fight from Weibo. They just can't quite close down all the kills. They do get the feats of strength in that fight as well by hitting the third kill first.
And Team managed to dodge the front line with the ultimate to join Breed. And now Mako potentially in danger. Does have flash, will be forced to blur. Has got the extended battle dance range and gets out to safety.
Uses that flash though, always an important tool on the Rakan to track. Anything else happening on the top side of the map? No. Rookie collecting farm up there. Aurora building towards their Riftmaker second, potentially. They might go towards Bloodletters instead, actually. We'll see which one they do go towards. Atakan started. Rookie no teleport, but he doesn't need it. The Shy does. And he can't start taking down here. There's no Renata ult, importantly, on the other side. Mark out coming up in the next few seconds. No Between Worlds.
Light taken low. Redemption going to come on down though and make sure these topped up. Nature's Grass comes on down. Gwei needs to get beyond the grab field and can't. Needs to go back in. He's not very tanky on this build for the Maokai. Now they can start turning it around. Damage comes on forwards. The Shy low. As he's going to get jumped to the backside as they try and turn it around though with that fate sealed. Unfortunately, now he's going to rebind his soul and go the other direction as Light gets to run at him and pierce him and rend him. 2-for-1 as it stands.
IG's objective setups have been pretty poor on the whole between the Dragon and the Atakan. They've been walking through choke points, not controlling their own choke points when they have control. And I think that Victor gravity field was a great example of how you can just hold a choke point around the Atakan. Ever since this release, I did a segment on the LEC actually, which holds true after all this time. We're really on the point there. Atakan is not an objective pit. It's in open field. It has 3-4 different mini openings around it. But if you can hold the Tri-Brush choke point, it is so impactful. Right here, if you hold that choke point, it removes the easiest access towards that objective. The approach late, the Ren gets stacked up, and Wei still walks towards anyway. And, you know, I think he'd been having a pretty good series before this point. Right there, it's not a great entry towards it. I think at that point, you let the objective go. You're likely not winning the fight with that choke point throttled anyway. And IG lose their minds around the objective just a little bit. Light even picks up a kill towards the end of that. Rookie not getting the best angle. IG going through the choke point. Rookie was left alone on that top lane to enter through the top side of River. And now Weibo, significant gold advantage. IG are pinning all their hopes on Dragon now. Now they might be able to give up 1 or 2. Be able to scale up with Desire, hopefully get towards an Infinity Edge, something like that. Hope that maybe the Callista falls off. That's one champion that might fall off. The Victor won't do. The Gwen won't do. And we were saying in draft, if Weibo's solo lanes get out of the early game, which they now well and truly have, they are going to win the DPS check against the Aurora and the Yone.
Okay, Mako's around, can look to make this a bit of a different equation. Overcomes this Vi, though, now spotted. Mako, the body block that one out, uses the Celestial Opposition as a bit of an angle, but they're going to TP in behind, whereas the support not going to be here anytime soon. Maokai can potentially look to ult, turn this one around, trying to find an angle back on in. Shao coming on over. Mako with the quickness, fate sealed over the wall, but overcomes the rest of Weibo. Rookie going to have to Q3 away, hit by the needles, and the slowdown comes on through. Needs to get sped up. I think they're just leaving him for dead. Wait, a flash on over. Can they keep chasing? Yes, they can. Breed with that bailout on top of them. Where does Rookie go? Spotted out. Going to teleport out. Chris flash for the handshake. All while the fight still commencing elsewhere. Rookie unbinds his soul. Looking to get some chunks onto Chris. Can't quite find it. Hostile takeover comes on top of Rookie and he dies.
IG lose through the side lane as Rookie is just not powerful on this Yone. Hasn't got himself the shield bow just yet. He's a lot of gold behind the Victor. And IG have started to lose their heads a little bit across the map. I've not liked how they've approached macro around objectives and now around side lanes too, as Weibo getting easy picks off on overextended Rookie and Mako on the side lane.
Look, they have Mako there as defense, but the moment the TP comes on through, you had to have been ready for this. The fact that Wei was not quite there in time, didn't pull the ult off, not even sure they had the ult to work with at the time. Either way, it was very tricky, and IG thought they'd done enough to keep people safe, and they hadn't, and the TP behind, not doing due diligence in terms of tracking wards, really hurt them in the long scheme of things there.
Dragon now spawning. Oh. Okay, now this is something. There's no teleports from Weibo to move across the map. They are moving across it. I mean, Wei's coming back out of base. They're going to start face checking now. The saplings will stop some of this attempt.
I think it's gone.
It's dangerous. They're using the Maokai ult, but the Gwen goes W through it, waiting, seeing it. They don't have a smite. This is a Baron sneak.
It's going to be taken away. Baron secured. Wei may be forced to flash out the back of the pit here. Mako will battle dance away, surely. Doesn't quite have it up and available. I think he used to help tank the Baron, so doesn't get out to safety. Now Wei's in danger and goes down.
It's 2 for the Baron and the Dragon. I think IG is still just about happy with that. If they lose someone else, yeah, that would be kind of sad, but all of their laners have the Baron buff. Can they use it right now? Weibo, they have 3 grubs, and it might be hard for IG to wave clear through this. They're waiting for a minion wave to come through. The Shy will try and shotgun the wave. Tries to do a little bit onto Xiaohu instead. He might actually have to ult. I think he should ult the wave right now for wave clear.
A fair amount of damage. Here comes the Between Worlds. Is forced to rebind the Soul Shower, taken low. Hostile takeover is dodged by Gala. Begins to get the Feather Pull damage onto Breathe, who is inside his Hallowed Mist for not long enough. The Scarlet joins him there now. The Shy looking for more. Light in danger. Flashes away from the Fate Seal. Continue to hop, 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 hop and pray. But unfortunately, it's not enough. He jumps into a grave.
Weibo try and capitalize on the dead members from the Baron, but instead they go way too far and they can't get the turret or retreat effectively. Tien wasn't even there. He was on the other side of the map, and IG managed to pounce. Xayah getting massive value there. Gala, the hero of that fight. Someone who, again, who's been up and down in form, but his game today has been good. Surviving the lane versus the Kalista Renata and then getting great value. Using that ult for a great feather pullback. Ends up getting inside the Hallowed Mist, or maybe it just timed out, one of the two. But that damage onto Breathe means the Gwen's out of the fight and Gala can keep running. There's very little engage. And the Vi isn't here. There is no Vi with the Flash Cube. Didn't have the ult. He was still down cooldown at this point. But the point stands. Weibo were not there in entire force. Now IG, they get to see off that engage, and now they can actually use the Baron buff for the last minute of it to maybe stabilize the map.
And Gala got the shutdown on at least one there. Ends up now ahead of this Kalista. That's 3 items on this side now. You've got 2.5 on Rookies in a much better spot. Yeah. It gets a bit more playable again.
Shout out to Grumpy Zereth and chat as well. Kalista flash down is scary for Weibo. Yes, it is. I completely agree. He does have that cleanse, but cleanse doesn't stop a Yone ult. Nope, doesn't stop that. Doesn't stop you getting burst out by something like the Aurora as well. And you need to be able to flash out of these skill shots because it'll allow you to dodge some of the actual damage. So perhaps something to play around. IG down in gold still. Still have that Baron. It's not really allowing them to get towards turrets, but it does mean that they get to push up on a map in a way that I don't think they would have liberty to do so otherwise.
I know it kind of goes against the pride of players, but I actually wonder whether Light should just not have flashed in that play. Saved it for the Dragon fight in a couple minutes. Just said, look, I'm dead here. Kept it for a more important moment.
No, I don't disagree, actually. Don't disagree. I think that fight was just wrong. Mako,
oh,
my dude.
Boy.
Not like this.
Has a battle dance. Handshook doesn't get out, and mobile he is, but not that mobile.
Well, we talked a lot about up and down form. Mako's one of the primary offenders of that on IG. Way too far. Just so far up. And yes, you have a million ways to get out as a Rakan, but if you can't escape as a Rakan, you've made a big misplay. Breathe. Could potentially fire the needlework over. The Mark ult defensive. That's... I guess it's a... Hang on a second. Why did he get caught by that? Questions that. Way using that defensively. Not a great angle, I would have thought it'd be best to put it onto the other angle, the other cross angle.
Might you even get any turrets out of this Baron?
Might be engaged onto Gala. Might be a cute flash. Boy. Using Notsu. Yeah, there's no ult for Tien, so actually there was no threat there at all. But what it does do is force Gala to not defend the turret. So he goes up too far, can't defend this, and the 3 grubs will see that down. An over push from Gala means that IG lose their turret.
They do. It's not very pretty there. Dragons in a minute and a half. So they can get done from that point. I replay on Mako because I think he got hit by about 4 or 5 bits of CC between Tien and Crisp.
Yeah, but there's no one nearby. He's way too far up. Potentially could have battled danced out, at least gotten himself a shield or something, but couldn't quite do so. Redemption's not the tankiest individual item too. Rookie going on to Tien.
Has to flash, and that's actually fairly significant. Not going to have the flash around this Dragon, and that cooldown will be available on the other side for IG. Gets to jump onto the backside. Light maybe in danger. Mako going to be using that cleanse off the spell, but Gala in danger. Has the redemption. Now goes up into the sky. Needs to back away. The Shy between worlds. Trying to get a kill. Bounces back. Delivers into a gravity field. Feather Pull is good, but it's been moved by the Vault Breaker and the cease and desist. Mako can't find enough there to buy time, and the Shy It's just too far.
What was the Shy doing? Jumping in like that, it left him with no escape route. I understand wanting to do a counter punch, but that is not enough damage behind this Aurora to justify doing so. Rookie had no ult and wasn't at the fight there. He just used that onto Tien. Gala had used his ult, so his feathers were kind of already down, not able to be used for follow-up. Big mistake from the Shy. Dragon spawning in 20 seconds. The Shy dead for the spawn of it. And IG will have to play a man down for the objective setup.
Okay, lots of flashes and ults down, though, on both sides. I think IG have got more. That might be enough.
I mean, Gala doesn't have ult, does have flash, no ghost.
Tien Way do, though, and there's nothing for Tien.
Yeah, maybe Rookie with ult coming up soon. Maybe that's the difference maker. Breathes around the side, does have his ult coming back up in the back of the pit.
Here we go again. TP in, down to 7,000 HP. The Arcane Storm finally back off cooldown. Xiaohu used it. Xiaohu goes golden. Buys some time. I think that will be the Baron. Sorry, Dragon secured by Weibo Gaming. The backline there goes to Vault Breaker. Immune by Rookie. You get on out. Tien now low. What about the damage back? Can they keep chasing for more? Xiaohu throws out that death ray. And it is enough to dissuade more.
Chaos Storm's better than the Yone ult. The
Yeah.
Chaos Storm is more important than anything else that was thrown out in that fight, and despite the fact that there is a 3-item Yone and Xayah, they can't get the damage down. Not having that Xayah ult, instead having to tank that Chaos Storm, really hurts them, and the Shy throwing IG's objective setup under the bus. That's another attempt at Ocean Soul now down the drain. Salt water in the gutters as IG will try and recoup some map presence. They're walking into the dark. Mako's died a ton on objective setup before. Rookie will spot the frogs getting taken as the farm advantage in jungle is fairly significant now. Way down a full level to Tien, who's had the better of Way in this game despite a bad start from Tien. Mako, my dude, you're quite far up again. Luckily, the Breathe Gwen doesn't have CC themselves.
Not this time around. Baron here. IG. Trying to force their way into their own jungle. Again, they've got saplings. That can help at least a little bit, and theoretically the Rakan as well. The two deaths that Mako have been significant ones. One overshoving bot side, trying to keep Rookie alive. They thought they'd done enough to keep him alive there and hadn't. The other one was just him dying awkwardly on the Baron timer.
Really need to see more from the Shy as well. He's had negative impact on this game. 1.5k down. Breathe has outlaned him. Has out team fought him as well. Breathe's angles into the backline have been very, very good. Way has Bloodletters to help shred some magic resist for his top laner, but the top laner is not nearly doing as much as, say, when they had the Aurora Jarvan combo, which was very impressive against JDG. As Xiaohu misses a cannon there. Yes, we do notice those things. 4-0-4 on the Victor. Has a Zhonya's, has Merc Treads, the upgraded ones as well. Bunch of HP. Xiaohu's having a good game. I'm not even going to say quietly a good game. We haven't talked about him as much, but we just talked about the Chaos Storm going absolutely nuts in that last fight. And this Victor has been hard to lock down. IG have not really coordinated their engages that effectively.
No. Problematic. Gala, though, still has the 4 items and might be enough to turn the fields of battle here. At least the tides of them on said fields.
4 items for Gala. GA almost up for light. I mean, if Gala can find a flash forward for a crazy feather pullback, maybe that goes hard. However, you're doing that into a Gwen W with the Seekers, you're doing it into a Zhonya's on Victor, you're doing it into a GA coming up from Kalista. It's getting quite hard for Gala to be the solo carry. There needs to be someone forcing these Stacies out of Weibo. Perhaps a Yone ult can do so. You know, this is a late game Yone. Evened up the gold despite being down over 1,000 gold earlier into the game. Perhaps Rookie can do some magic. Struggled to do it on the Yone, actually, historically. It's not been his best carry champion.
It's a B tier champion, I think is the way I'd put it. It's been, I'm ambivalent towards it, but it feels a little bit like, okay, I know it's not quite the same, but like Night on Azir is like...
Sam, I was about to mention that.
There we
go.
go.
When I'm like, look, it's fine, but it's not something you... Like, if I say, what do I want to see Rookie on? I don't say Yone.
No.
And like, when I say... And sometimes it works for the composition. I'm like, okay, fine. Composition over player comfort. I understand that sometimes. Baron started up. Bloodthirster on Gala means that he can do this. He's almost soloing, actually. In fact, probably would be if he was given enough time. 4 amps inside. Jesus Christ. Yeah, strong stuff. Gala's Kai'Sa, I mean, when he won MSIs in the past, he's been very powerful, the champion. Of course, wasn't the RNG Xayah to win first MSI. That was Uzi. Oh, God, he was a good Xayah player as well. Baron up now, Dragon up in a minute. Started by Weibo this time. They're on the objective first, and they get to use that Rend. 4 items, GA for light as well. IG have the ability to retake, I guess, but they're just going to let this go down. Maybe fight with the dragon after. They're approaching this very late, going for a smite steal.
Oh, gets into the back end of that. Can't quite secure it. Baron secured by Waver. What about the fight afterwards? He has to bounce on out of the pit. Tien low. The Shy goes looking, can't quite find it. Now he's in danger, forced to flash himself. And Gala and the rest of IG give up the Baron, can't get any kills.
The Shy, I mean, that was the angle I actually agree with. If you can get that kill onto Tien 40 seconds before Dragon, that could be it. Now, Weibo, I actually wonder if they've taken this Baron at the wrong timing. I don't think they've got time to set up the map before the Baron comes up. Wei is going to litter the jungle with AP Maokai jungle saplings and chunk people out as they make their way in.
Steal the red buff too.
Steal the red buff out, which will be a team red buff. Deny it from Weibo. These small things do count. Rookie gonna walk. Oh, Chris, no!
Not there in time.
After all of the hard work from Weibo, they might have just thrown it around this Dragon setter. The Baron was taken on the wrong timing. Dragon now up in 10 seconds. They have to fight 4v5. If you push up mid lane, they're going to give up the Dragon. They know they can't end set. They're going to go towards the top lane instead of say, well, we've got Baron, we'll take top inhib maybe. They give up Ocean Soul to IG. And while it might not be as powerful as it once was in the past, it is a hell of a extra stat stick to throw into teamfight, especially for champions like the Yone and the Xayah who have stuff like the Shield Bone, the Bloodthirster to keep them ticking in these fights longer.
Not been the easiest game for Rookie, but that pick off there could have just changed things. Well, they can get done again. They're still scaling pretty well. Oh, Weibo Gaming. Can they manage an Ocean Soul? Baron needs to get value hits. We've seen Soul for Baron trades before. Somewhere out there, I will dominate, is screaming in rage.
Mako has the Abyssal Mask, by the way, which we occasionally see on the Rakans. He's actually a little bit tankier as well. So, we have Elder up in a little bit. That's a teleport down to the other side of the map from Xiaohu. I
thought that was a teleport behind IG for a second.
I was like, okay, that's a little bit weird. And I saw the color of it. I'm like, no, that's blue side. Just checking. Blue buff secured by Weibo. And for all I think that Weibo have had better objective setups than IG for the grand majority of this game, that was a big blunder. That was a big blunder. You maybe now wait for multiple items now onto Xiaohu. You're getting that death cap soon for him. But Rookie, I think he's about to get himself either a GA or a Bloodthirster. One of the really broken things about GA or Zhonya's with Ocean Soul, by the way, is that if you go down into the revive, you actually start ticking over with the Ocean Soul while it's happening. You can come out of those revives with extra couple of 100 HP. So perhaps Rookie goes towards that. Could also go to the Bloodthirster as well to just have that extended fight ability. Death cap, that special hat in for Madman of Zorn. Well, I suppose that's Singed. Actually, no, he's Singed. I suppose Victor isn't actually that mad. He's just very different philosophy.
He does eventually go kind of mad.
I mean, if it's the Machine Herald, no. If it's the Arcane one, yeah, a bit. Tien going forwards, locked down by Mako. The Shy's going to get decent damage onto him. He has the GAA, but yeah, as you can see, the Vi is not a tank, and that does hurt.
Yeah, and we're starting to see that Vi is no longer really the champion she once was. And again, she's not really got to build much magic resist. She's got a pair of Merc Treads.
Mako not getting caught out as easily this time. We might be fighting around Elder time. That might be the reality of the situation where neither team wants to be the one to throw the game into the late game. Weibo looking to force us to 3. Started 3-2 in terms of series. IG could match that and then force Weibo down to 3-3. With the loss here. IG, a freak loss to FPX. Probably should have beaten Top Esports,
agreed.
by the way, the other day. And their first match of the split. Okay. Sam is now going to have to dip out because he's got other obligations. Rookie jumping forwards in the side lane, getting into there. Has the GA redemption coming through. Ocean Soul ticking. Have they used too much? Here comes the Gala Xayah and starts to DPS. Takes down a GA on the other side. Light getting shot down by the Shy. Is it enough damage? No, and it ends up being GA for GA. And that's it. We'll see how that's more important for. I have to say, with the Ocean Soul. Oh, it's a flag 3-man knockup. Goes in, buys the Callisto ultimate. Can't quite finish the team fight. Rookie really trying his best. Forcing defenses. They have the extended fight value. Between worlds might send you Weibo into the next one. Well, how much damage have they got? Light not doing damage. The Xayah putting up here the feathers into the air, but doesn't have enough healing. The Gale Storm takes him down, and the AD carry of IG gets hit first. Doesn't flash back. Way goes down, and Gala, you have to flash in that team fight. The Shy has himself the Cosmic Drive for extra movement speed. Mako trying to trigger some more CC. A Q lands as the Shy takes down Light, and Rookie has another E. Dodges out on the Vault Breaker. Keeps going forwards. It's arcade. It's hectic. It's a massacre.
As the Shy is some of the last remaining damage, he must stay alive, and he's caught! He's caught and he goes down. IG are out team for as Gala. Oh, Gala, where was your flash? Saving it for the next game. That is unforgivable from the AD carry of IG. So fed in the late game. With 3 Grubs, a Gwen alive, IG 10 seconds on the Maokai with the ultimate. I don't know if that's going to be enough to save the game. It's not going to be an angle for the end of the game from Weibo. Take the mid inhib. Can't take the bottom one as well. They won't finish the game, but IG, my guys, you cannot save your summoners like that in the late game. Gala, you have to do better. We'll watch the replay. Gala stepped forward aggressively. Rookie flash 3-man knockup. Incredible timing on Light's flash there. And makes it only the 2-man, saving the Renata as well. That could have ended the game. Very good reactions from Light. Right here does get blown up by the Shy. And at this point you think, well, no HP on the Callista. But then Gala, the ult hits Rookie. And Gala doesn't flash. You gotta get away from the Yone. Stuck in the Chaos Storm, gets autoed by that. You have to use your flash. I almost wonder whether he should have flashed forward, you know. Try and get that extra damage on. You are so strong with this Xayah. Either way, flash not used, and I think that's the worst of all options available. Shy trying to get inside the Gwen W, puts himself too far forwards. The handshake lands from Chris. Great reaction timing from him. Weibo just out team fight. Gala. Full items build now. Dragon in 30 seconds. IG behind on the map. They will have to retake the objective bit. Now, I suppose Gala has flash for this fight. Where's the Vi going? Forwards, but not in with the ultimate. Doesn't have flash. There's no one with flash on the side of Weibo. The Shy has flash. Gala has it too. Perhaps summoner economy works out in IG's favor. Elder now up in 10 seconds. See how hard it is for IG to walk into Weibo's side of the map. They're trying to use these bush saplings, get some, you know, half wards down. Fighting over the mid wave. Breathe stacking up on the minions there. Pre-roll Edwards coming back on because it's gone hyper late game. Rookie trying to get the knock up. Good damage onto Crisp. That's half the HP down. Here comes the Maokai. Lands onto 2. And Callista ults. Pulls the Renata to safety. However, they've only get to use that once. Maokai ultimate. Down 2. Important tool. IG buy their way into River. The Viol. Their big bit of CC that Weibo are looking for. Where's the Chaos Storm Feathers getting stacked up? It might come down to a smite fight for the Baron. The Elder Dragon is coming through. Tian, he's in range, but it's the Xayah that gets it. With the pullback, the Shy dies to Light, but the Callista is now out of position to go forward. The Gala does use it. The Renata ultimate. The bailout trying to do enough. I don't know if it will be. It is. Light comes back into the play as the bailout buys time. Ends up being a 4 for 3. IG can't clean sweep the fight as Gala flash forward. Gets the Elder, but all it did was bring Chris down into the bailout. And Light, I thought he'd gone too far out of the fight, but he ends up getting back in time. Insane late game team fighting. Weibo IG. Rookie versus Xiaohu. We got some classics in here. Breathe versus the Shy as well. You know, the Shy facing up against his old team. And Breathe has done not bad, not a shabby job over here too. Elder was claimed by IG, but it's not the end of the game. Gala uses his summoners this time. Rookie gets an ultimate, but it doesn't get onto the backline. Not really. I suppose it gets onto Xiaohu. That does count. Tian goes in. Does he get his ult through? The feather pullback wins it. Tian trying to escape the play after that point. The Shy getting dunked on by Light. Gala flashes forward, but can't quite get himself in range. The Elder goes on to Breathe, but the bailout comes through. But that bailout means he can get another cooldown down off his ult. No DPS left for Light. The Callista goes nuts. Huge mobility on that Callista, hopping around. 7, 1, and 6. Light, what an incredible game from him. His GA is about to come off a cooldown. Gala's sold his Bloodthirster for a GA. Rookie has a QSS, just in case he gets hit by that Renata ultimate again. The Shy, 4 items now. Void Staff, which will combo up with the Bloodletters as well. If someone gets hit by that Blush Sapling and then the Shy dunks, then that's a one-shot. That is a one-shot. Wait. Has a Zonya's too, actually. Okay. Baron started, potentially. The Shy over the wall. They have the Ocean Soul, remember. They also have the Elder for the next 40 seconds. Weibo do not want to tank up against Rookie, having that Elder in particular. He goes in, applies it. All they have to do is get below that HP mark. He doesn't need to be the one to bring them below that margin. They just need to be brought below that HP. Weibo trying to Hold safe distance away from them for the next 20 seconds. Rookie has that Elder. Not at the fight right now, recalling. Probably has the full upgrade for the QSS. Mercurial Scimitar. There it is. Does he have an elixir as well, perhaps? The Shy has one. He's got the Dark Seal, not full items for the Shy. Way's gone towards the cooldown boots. Did he not upgrade them before? Huh, maybe not. Well, he has the extra cooldown reduction now. Not that much CDR in this build. You get a little bit from Bloodletters. That's it. I'm trying to remember if Morello gives you any. I don't think it does anymore. I'm trying to remember if they added that back in. Level 17. Level 18 for everyone else in the game. Gold difference means nothing at this point, folks. We're at 80,000 gold. Gold difference doesn't mean anything. It does matter a little bit in terms of the support itemization. You see that Mako's relatively tanky, but Chris has a lot of utility. Has the upgraded warding item, that whatever treasure box thing. Has Mikhail's, has Redemption. On the other side, there is a Redemption. Ultimate in from the Maokai, doing the classic of zoning off the tower. Xiaohu caught by the ultimate, but Mikhail's by Crisp. Tower goes down. Baron doing good value there. Rookie walking up. Can you take the full turret? No. Doesn't have the E cooldown for that. Do it again too quickly either. There used to be a Flickle Blades build for Yone to give him more ease and stuff like that. Breathe walking forwards. Here comes the Ghost. Rookie not in position. And Gala, is he going to ult? Yes, he is. Can he get the Feather Ball? He goes down into the GA. Oh, so quickly. And the Shy gets blasted too. Gala must be protected. Whereas the Feather Ball goes nowhere. And Gala gets caught. IG can't protect their AD carry. And Gala gets blasted. No further pullback. This Xayah late game has been not what IG wanted. Weibo may well have forced us to a game 3. The Ocean Soul not enough. The Elder not enough. Rookie trying to clear the wave, and I don't think he's going to do enough. Has full crit, but can he do enough? Death time is 40 seconds. Rookie trying to buy time. Goes into the base. Knows he must survive for as long as possible. Doesn't have the ult, but doing great. Damage forces the flash out. And this is all time which Weibo could be using, pushing to end the game. Light has been left on that duty. Rookie had the Ocean Soul ticking while he was in GA. And that shield bow as well. Surviving even longer. Missing the knockup, but he's still alive. Rookie 1v3 in the base. Trying to buy time. Can he bring one more with him? No. Goes down. Is that enough to save the game? I think it is. 10 seconds on the Shy, 15 on Gala, and Rookie's antics in the base by so much time. IG will not lose the game off of a horrific fight where they are split and engaged onto by a magnificent set of needleworks from Breathe. Starts with Breathe just saying, fuck it, we go. Level 18, Ghost. Forces the Shy back. Needlework onto Gala, who positions himself against the wall and gets completely one-shot. I mean, the ultimate, not enough to save him. I don't know if there was an angle for him to escape there, but positioning next to the wall, not being able to sidestep any of those needleworks really, really hurts. Wade just used that ultimate. He wasn't able to do anything either, and the Chaos Storm went absolutely mental. Into the base now. Weibo pushing up. Do they look for an end of the game? Rookie, is he alive just yet? No. 15 seconds. Makai ultimate looking to disengage a little more. Tian going forwards on to Wei. Can they get the full kill? He has Zhonya's. He has Flash. He can probably make it out of this alive. The Shy getting good damage. Can he get the one shot? Jumping back and forth. Goes onto the grab field. Gala has ult. Dodges the needlework. This time feather pullback. Rookie is now alive, and IG have an extra member to come back out onto the map. Flank teleport. Perhaps the Shy. Oh my god, the burn is insane. Rookie comes in. He's alive. He takes down Xiaohu. The victor is dead. Light getting jumped onto, and the Shy trying to clean up. GA bailout. Multiple lives, and I don't think there are enough of them. He's not a cat. He's just a Callista. No 9 lives, and 3 will not be enough for the AD carry of Weibo. It's back. It's fourth. It's Nexus. Elder spawns IG. What's the plan? Is it Elder? Is it the Nexus? I think with super minions against them, it's a little harder to push, but with the Victor and the Callista down, they might see an ending to the game and the series. Do they deserve the 2-0? God, no, probably not. Weibo do not find the end to the game, though. They don't set up the Elder. They greed for the Nexus and may lose the game. 5 seconds on Needlework. That's some wave clear for them. Ocean Soul, Maokai ultimate coming through. Do they hit the towers? They look for the fight. The Shy gets hit by the ult. That's a magnificent Renata ult. The Renata ult sends everyone hitting each other. It's a Nexus. Breathe will die, and the Gwen goes down. Can they defend without their top laner? He's so much of their wave clear. Gala starting the DPS, hitting the turrets. Chris, he's the only defender. 4 seconds on the Victor. Hit the fucking Nexus, IG. Hit it for God's sake. The Nexus will fall, and IG will claim the series 2-0. It's an LPL classic as Weibo. It's up.